truck in 2024. She was handicapped in the wreck, and at last night's State of the Union speech, she was recognized as a symbol for a proposed law called Delilah's Law, which the president spoke on and asked Congress to pass. That law would make it illegal for someone legally to be able to get a commercial driver's license and legally drive a big rig. Professor Damon Johnson of Bakersfield College, also the leader of the refusing training in diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, says a ruling from U.S. District Judge Kurt E. Sherritt that the ruling is only a partial victory for Johnson. The judge says he can be made to go through DEI training to be able to serve on a faculty screening committee. Employees of Bakersfield City Schools, like bus drivers and mechanics who were called classified employees, got a 1% raise this year, while members of the school board voted to give themselves a raise of more than $2,000 in January for attending school board meetings. At one of those meetings Tuesday, some of those classified employees showed up to express their displeasure with that decision, some even marching around the room. Negotiations may lead to a larger raise in March. Feeding animals on Bakersfield City property could get you a fine if you're caught, but the Kern County Board of Supervisors is taking a pause on passing a similar ordinance for the county after public comment at their Tuesday meeting. Those soups say they will take another look at it.
Yeah, he's trying to help me open up my back, open up my account again.
I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. But bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make your call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody. And a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, it's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. We got a busy show on this Wednesday. Obviously, we'll talk about the president's State of the Union last night. As I correctly predicted, he broke his own record, going almost 2 hours. You'll be surprised, I think, at my take on the president's speech. We'll get into that in just a second. I'll give some advice to the Republican Party as to where to go as primaries for the midterms get underway in less than a week. And Howard Marcus will join us at 4 o'clock. We'll talk about the Guthrie situation, which has changed dramatically. We've learned a lot about why the Guthrie family did not provide $1 million reward from the get-go. I'll explain in just a second. And then coming up in the 5, folks from Bakersfield College are going to join us. We're going to talk with Dr. Cesar Jimenez and Dr. Veronica Millay. She's a professor at the Morehouse School of Medicine. And as we've talked about many times on the broadcast with the Chancellor, Dr. Stephen Bloomberg, and with the President, Dr. Stacy Pfluger, they have a program with Morehouse Medical School to provide essentially, I don't want to call them internships because doctors become interns and residents at some point, but it's a kind of a mutual program where they're trying to bring more physicians out here to Bakersfield, and they're using Bakersfield College to do so. Dr. Jimenez and Dr. Millay will explain. It's a fascinating program and a manner in which to bring more physicians to Bakersfield. And as we wrap up Black History Month, we'll focus on Dr. Cornel West. Some of you may be familiar with Dr. West. He is a professor at Cornell University, coincidentally, and Princeton as well, author and television pundit at times. And I'll give you some life and times of him. But before we get going, I contemplated whether to discuss this. I'm in a minor personal crisis where I got scammed. I got absolutely scammed. And I'm not certain how much of it is my own stupidity and how much of it is just the brilliance of technology and grifters in the 21st century. But I essentially emptied out my bank account in the guise that I was protecting my bank account, where I received a text message, as I have in the past, from Chase, recognizing unfamiliar activity on my account. They ask you, do you recognize this transaction? I said no. And this is when the whole debacle and my own stupidity kicked in, because I've gone through this. I was with Sam Brandon, our owner's son, playing golf, and this happened, and I quickly rectified it. And first of all, and the reason I'm talking about, the same reason I talk about my health, so it doesn't happen to you, they never call you. The bank never calls you. They will give you an email alert, which they did, but they never call you. And basically, he took me to my account. I was even transferred. I got an original call, then I was transferred to their specialist. And that's the man who took me to my account and claimed that there were 3 different transactions on my account that were suspicious. They were out of Arizona. One was a PayPal payment to somebody, and 2 were 2 other transactions. And he explained to me how I could recover it and walked me through it. And to make a long story short, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, the process they gave me to recall my money was essentially sending them my money. And the only reason I recognized it is because I went to, fortunately, they took so much money that my account fell under $50. And as my fellow Chase bank account customers know, when you're at least I have this feature, maybe it's just a feature, but whenever your account gets under $50, they send you a notice that you're under $50. And I was like, what? And it said $12.51. And I called Chase and I said, I just was on the phone with you guys. And that's when it dawned on me that I had been taken. And they essentially said, you've been taken. This is common. Did they do this? Did they do this? I said, yes. And they said, well, we never call you. We would never take you to your account. And they had the thing that why I bought into it, because they had information. How do they have my phone number? How do they know that I'm Ralph Bailey? How do they know some of my banking information? I'm just sick right now. I just feel like the biggest, my whole life, we've always heard they prey on old folks. And I just realized I'm in that category. I'm one of those old, stupid, technological, because I've told like 4 people this story, Chris, Randy, and JR, all under 50. And they were all like, well, right there, you should have known. It's like, when they said send money, it should have dawned on you.
Yeah, on that one, yeah. My biggest thing is just if anybody ever texts you saying there's something weird going on with your account, check your account first. If it is, it'll be there.
Yes, it was with my phone. It was not with my IT. It was with my phone. Well, that's what I couldn't understand. While this was all going on, my account was fine. So I just should have just hung up the phone.
Yeah, if you look at your account and see the money is still in there and it hasn't moved, it's still in there and it hasn't moved. If you get an alert that says, like you did, obviously at the end of this, where it says, "Hey, you have $50 left in your account" or something like that, then obviously there's an issue. But until you get that notification, I usually just say, well, if it happens, it happens. And obviously they were able to help you in retrieving the money, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, 3 to 5 days. 3 to 5 days.
That's the worst part about it.
I have $12. Well, I have access to other funds, thankfully, but I
We're just telling you now because the weekends are coming up. Expect 5
what day is it? Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah, I won't see that money till Monday, if not Tuesday. I'm just sick. Just sick. And it just happens to be I was as flush as I've been in a long time. That's what's crazy. I'm as flush as I've been. I haven't gone out. I haven't been doing anything. I was as flush as I've been in a long time. Because we just got paid. We just got paid, what, 5 days ago? I don't know whether it's worth losing the money or just being duped, being a mark, being an old man that just is stupid. I keep telling you guys, I'm not that bright. I know a little about journalism. I know a little about politics. I know a little bit of history. That's about it. I know how to write. I can put a noun, verb, noun together. Other than that, I'm not very bright. It's not very bright. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. I have never felt as stupid as I feel right now. And I was called out of my senior class, and the lowest math score was 480. That up to right now, that was my low point of stupidity. And then I showed my cards in class and said, God, who got a 480? And everybody looked at me like, come on, Ralph. Oh, God. All right, let's get going. I just got to put it out of my mind. And, and if it was on a show where we had nobody coming on, I would have just stayed home and tried to deal with it. But we've got a big show today. I got to talk about the State of the Union. I'll give my opinions on where the Republican Party should go up until June, the primary time for California at least. Other primaries are getting going in March, and up until November with, as I've talked about, the most consequential midterm in a very long time. Howard Marcus will join us at 4 o'clock, and the folks from Bakersfield College, Dr. Cesar Jimenez, and all the way from Atlanta via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network, Professor Dr. Veronica Millay with the Morehouse School of Medicine, explaining the program they have established with Bakersfield College, trying to bring more physicians to come and study here and then stay here. In the meantime, you're listening to the stupidest radio talk show host in the business. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Thursday's Armstrong and Getty Show. Did Gavin Newsom just sit in front of a black audience and say, I'm stupid just like you are? We'll let you decide.
If China were to take Taiwan, what would that do to our economy? I'll give you a hint. It would be miserable and disastrous. Got to factor that in. Plus, whatever the news of the day turns out to be on the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
So I had my first inquiry into Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue, a new client, one of the best caterers in town. And yeah, he just happens to be one of my best friends, but he happens to be one of the best caterers in town. And somebody asked me, how deep does Mike? I said, well, he provides appetizers, the main menu, and side dishes. And Mike does the cooking. He comes with a crew. He comes with a rig. They do cooking, they do all the cleaning, they do all the serving. You do absolutely nothing but pick up the phone and call Mike at 393-5507. That's 393-5507. Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue's been raging now for throughout this entire century. For 25 years, Mike, a former NFL star, has used that discipline he learned in the NFL to engineer his organization. It doesn't matter what your event is, whether it's a corporate event, graduation, Mike is there with the grill and ready to cook. Call him again today at 393-5507, 393-5507. Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue. And yes, after 9 years, they're still raging hot.
Ah, springtime. A time to plant some flowers, cut the grass.
Drag racing fans, forget the honeydews because it's back and it's Nitro time. The Good Vibrations Motorsports March Meet returns to Famoso Drag Strip in Bakersfield. Bakersfield, March 5th through the 8th. 4 big days of nitro burning funny cars, dragsters, and those insane ground pounding fuel motors. Experience quarter-mile drags like it used to be. Walk the pits, check out the car show, swap meet, and the manufacturer's midway. Come feel the sensation and smell the nitro all weekend long. See the champions crowned on Championship Sunday. Tickets at the gate or marchmeet.com. Kids 15 and under are free with a paid adult. The Good Vibrations Motorsports March Meet at Famoso Track Strip, March 5th through the 8th. Smell the nitro.
All Americans should do what they can to prepare for the future. Donald Trump Jr. here with an important message. More and more Americans are looking for ways to diversify their hard-earned money, and gold is the perfect solution. For example, a gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group lets you diversify your IRA or 401k into physical gold with zero taxes and zero penalties. You stay in control with a tangible asset that's held value for thousands of years. And right now, Birch Gold is offering a free info kit to help you understand how it works. Just text the word SECURE, SECURE, to 989898. There's no pressure, no obligation, just the facts. You can't predict the future, but you can be prepared, but only if you educate yourself. So take that first step right now. Text SECURE to the number 989898 today. That's SECURE to 989898.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Ain't that a groove? Ain't that a groove? Ain't that a groove?
So is there anybody out there that actually watched the entire 1 hour and 49 minutes of the speech? I kind of went in and out. I was just going back and forth. I was kind of bouncing. But I did see much of the highlights today. I thought it was a brilliant speech, to be honest with you. I think there were some errors made. I think there were some opportunities lost. I think he should have recognized the survivors, the Epstein survivors, who Democrats bought to try to make a point. Because the State of the Union has now changed. The whole tenure of politics has changed. It's just something that I just don't even recognize any longer. I told you the story about I saw on Reels George Bush addressing the joint session of Congress, and it was Nancy Pelosi's first day as first State of the Union as the first woman Speaker of the House. And despite the fact that they were from different parties, the president, before he started his State of the Union, George Bush, recognized Nancy Pelosi as the first woman speaker. Both houses, or both parties in the chamber, stood up and gave her a standing ovation. And then to come to compare that to what we saw last night, where, and this was brilliant of the president, absolutely freaking brilliant, to ask everyone in the chamber to stand if you believe that the priority, and I'm paraphrasing, the priority should be American citizens over illegal aliens. And the fact that they didn't stand up for that, if you are running for Congress or Senate, and that's not part of your campaign, if that's not the first ad that you run, you're an idiot. The president has given you a perfect opportunity to attack the Democrats, because that's crazy. And I thought that was brilliant when he said, and I'm not big on rhetoric, and I'm old school, it's about decorum, but I thought it was appropriate for him to say, these people are crazy, because they are on the wrong side of so many 80-20 issues. But at the same time, I have to criticize the president, and I was going to do this in two different sections, trying to give advice to where we should go, because the bottom line is it's 79-59. Let's do a sports analogy. It's 79-59. And the bottom line is, when you're losing, no matter what it is, whether it's politics or journalism or running a television station or in a business, if things are going badly, you've got to change course. And the fact of the matter is, almost 70% of the American public thinks that the country is going in the wrong direction. That the Trump approval rating at its highest is 40%. And I think the Democrats have stumbled into something, because people like Katie Porter can't beat their competitors. She's not going to beat Eric Swalwell. She's not going to beat Chad Bianco. She's not going to beat Steve Hilton. So what they are doing, and given the president's approval ratings, this could be effective, is they're running against Donald Trump. Now, this isn't anything new, but it hasn't been as effective because of Donald Trump's approval ratings and where he stands with the country. But right now, he has lost the country. And I think that is primarily due to immigration. And I want to say some things that you all don't disagree with, just may agree with, but most of the country does. And that is this idea that many of you harbor, that we're going to get rid of every single illegal alien that's here, no matter how long they've been here, no matter how much they've respected this country, no matter how many taxes they paid, no matter how they contributed to their community, you want them out of here. And apparently so does Donald Trump. That's not going to work. That's not where the American people is. It's just not. Yes, we want criminals and people that can't do the right thing the right way, but people that are trying to get through the process or people that have been here for a long time, if you try to move them out, if you continue this, this is going to upend the Republican Party. And what is tragic about this is that had he simply stopped at closing the border and targeting criminal activity, illegal aliens that are committing crimes, his approval rating would be in the 60s. It would absolutely be in the 60s, because then he could tout, without it being diminished, one of the most incredible accomplishments we've ever seen. Think about this. Joe Biden, for 4 years, told us, you know what, I would love to close the border. I really would, but I just can't. Without Congress, and they're not on my side, I can't do it. And within a year, the Trump administration has got it down to almost zero number of entrants. Now, it's not zero, and I know that's what he said last night. It's not zero, but it's like 94% from zero, from rampages, stampedes. And he simply stopped there. Think about what his approval rating would be. But now these pictures of ICE agents pulling people out of their cars, roughing people up, killing 2 American citizens, no matter what you think of the Renee Good and Alex Peretti shooting, which again was another missed opportunity for the president because he didn't even mention them, it just shouldn't have happened. It just shouldn't have happened. And that is spurring the Democratic Party. And all the ads you're about to see that are going to be on every minute of every day is going to focus around that. And it's an ugly message. And maybe here in the Central Valley, you all want every illegal alien, the guy that comes and roofs your house, perhaps your housekeeper, maybe the guys that work in restaurants, people that have been in our community. If you really want them out, this will destroy the Republican Party, in my opinion. It will absolutely destroy. You've already seen the numbers where Trump had a miraculous 44% of the Latino community. It's now down to 21. He had an amazing number of independents at 31. It's now down to 20. We cannot win like that. And when you recognize we can't run the ball, then guess what? We've got to throw the ball. And if dragging people out of their cars, if waiting for them at Home Depot, if all these tactics that we've been using, which the Republican Party is praised as effective, isn't working, generally speaking, for the American people, then you've got to pull back. And yes, the president began that by sending Tom Homan and getting that idiot Greg Bovino out, who is now up for perhaps perjury charges. So we found out, yes, I was right. He is a poor character. That character may end up going to jail. And we're only sending in 2 agents and not 7. But we've got to change, flip the script. And we've got to start economically. This Congress, with perhaps this one-person majority, and that's now even up in the air, because Tony Gonzalez, no, not that Tony Gonzalez, the greatest tight end that ever lived out of Kansas City Chiefs and Atlanta Falcons. No, the representative in Vegas or in Texas who's in trouble because he got caught having an affair with a staffer, and the staffer ultimately killed herself by engulfing herself in flames. So now Lauren Boebert and a number of Republicans are asking him to resign. Even if he doesn't resign, he's certainly not going to get reelected. We're hoping that his primary challenger in the Republican Party can defeat him and then go on and defeat the Democrat. But what if we lose that seat? There goes your majority right there, and the House is lost. But I thought the president's speech was brilliant. I thought having the helicopter pilot and the Korean War veteran was brilliant. I thought having the hockey team in, and not all Democrats stood up for that, was brilliant. But the greatest thing that he did for the day was ask them to stand up if you're for American citizens over illegal aliens, and none of the Democrats moved. That should be every congressional and Senate candidate's opening ad in their campaigns. They should be running ads tomorrow illustrating that, and throw in at the end of the ad Ilhan Omar screaming and yelling at the president. I told you there were going to be shenanigans. They're just on the 80-20 side of just about everything, and the Republicans have a great opportunity to take advantage of it and still save the midterms.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Bill and Hillary Clinton are slated to testify this week in a House investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, part of a deal with Republicans after it became clear that Congress, with the help of some Democrats, was on track to hold them in contempt if they refused to cooperate. The FBI has served warrants at the Los Angeles Unified School District's headquarters and the home of its superintendent. The nature of the federal investigation involving the nation's second largest school district and Superintendent Alberto Carvalho's home was not immediately clear. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 307 points, the Nasdaq rose 288, the S&P 500 advanced 56, oil down to $65.47 a barrel. More at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Classified employees who are not teachers or administrators, but include bus drivers, mechanics, and other such employees, came to the Bakersfield City School Board meeting Tuesday, some angry about getting only a 1% raise this year, while school board members voted to give themselves a more than $2,000 raise for attending meetings in January. Negotiations may yield a higher raise in March. Bakersfield College history professor Damon Johnson can't be fired for not taking DEI training, says a ruling by a federal judge. But the school can make him take that training if he wants to be part of a faculty screening committee, said the judge in a second part to that ruling. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Are you looking for a one-of-a-kind way to honor your team or commemorate a special event? Look no further than Martinez Challenge Coins and more, the premier challenge coins and specialty metals company in Bakersfield. With years of experience and a commitment to quality, Martinez creates custom challenge coins that are truly exceptional. Whether you need coins for your military unit, law enforcement agency, or corporate team, they have you covered. Their expert team will work closely with you to design a coin that reflects your unique vision. From intricate artwork to personalized details, Martinez ensures that every coin is a true work of art.
Hi, I'm Ray Martinez, owner and founder of the company. So don't settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary.
Contact Martinez Challenge Coins and more today, and let them bring your vision to life. Visit their website at martinez-martinezllc.com or call 661-304-9589. Martinez Challenge Coins and more, where excellence meets craftsmanship.
The J.
As great as it is, the comment says, I hope the person that reports this fired didn't call 911.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
All the
So there have been a couple of things that have been consistent with our coverage, my coverage of the Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie tragedy. And that is Sheriff Chris Nanos out of Pima County is, and I don't think it's fair to examine one investigation and call a man incompetent. I think he's just over his head. But what makes a good leader is to know when you're over your head, to know that you're a tiny little county in Arizona, and now you are involved in a case that is national because it involves one of the best known television personalities in the country. And it's just like when, I don't know if you remember this, but I was talking with Teresa Goldner, and we were talking about Fani Willis in Atlanta, in Fulton County. And we were discussing what would happen to the Trump case if Fani Willis, and I'm not going to get into the weeds about why Fani Willis was under investigation for I can't. She basically hired her boo, a guy who was completely unqualified to try to prosecute Donald Trump or any other federal case. He was kind of a traffic judge, basically a commissioner, but they were sleeping together. And this was a great opportunity for her to work with him, give him a $600,000 salary that they could use, which they did, to travel all over the country. Because by that point, she's the district attorney of Atlanta. She's making $500,000. She just gave a $600,000 job to her boo. That's a pretty good lucrative couple. And once this was discovered, she was disqualified. And Terry asked the question, well, it could go to another county, as was the case with Zach Scrivener, where we could not prosecute it here from Kern County because his aunt is the top cop. And we talked to Sheriff Youngblood about going to different counties. They didn't want it. So it finally went back to the AG's office, who said no. And then it went back and they said yes. And the reason I said to Teresa Golden that it was over, I said, there's no other county. I'm very familiar with the state of Georgia. I was born in Atlanta. I matriculated at Morehouse College for 4 years. I didn't finish, didn't get my degree from there, but I was in Atlanta for 4 years. I'm very familiar. My family's from there. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm very familiar with the state. And I just said, there's no other county that could handle a case as large as the president. There's just not. They don't have the staff. They don't have the experience. You know, there's Cobb and Gwinnett and all these tiny little counties. Fulton County is like the New York City of Atlanta. And it's different because there are other communities in New York that don't rival New York, but they're large counties that could handle a large case. Well, there's no such county in Georgia. It's Fulton County, and they've got like 100 different counties, just to show you how small it is. We are the size of a freaking country, and we've only got 58. They got like 112 different counties. And so there's just no county large enough. And that's the case in Arizona. There's no county in Arizona large enough to handle this case. Certainly not Pima County. Certainly not Pima County. So one of the consistent criticisms you've heard from me is, why in the world, when we helped raise $20,000 for a local case in Bakersfield, why is a woman, Savannah Guthrie, who makes $8.2 million, offering up a reward for $50,000? Well, we found out yesterday that the Pima County Sheriff's Office suggested that they do not give a large reward. Did you hear what I just said? That the Guthrie family that I criticized wrongly wanted to give a gargantuan reward from the get-go and were advised by Chris Nanos and his department not to do so. Here is Jason Pack. He's a former FBI supervisor talking with an NBC reporter as to how this could have happened.
Why would the family be given that advice to wait to put out a reward?
At the beginning of these types of cases, particularly high-profile ones like this, there's not an absence of tips. So it does two things. It reactivates the tip line, and it puts a lot of pressure on those handful of people that know what happened.
Wasn't that the goofiest answer? He gave the answer as why you should. He didn't give the answer why Chris Nanos told them not to give the reward. I just don't understand what's going on with this whole thing. And he's saying that it's, to me, and play it again, Chris, because to me, he's saying it's an advantage that you put, like, obviously one person didn't do this. And there's a movie about this with, who played Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump? The guy, the big veteran guy.
That's why I'm trying to look up his name. I forget his name right now.
Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't understand. Listen to the bite again.
Gary Sinise.
Gary Sinise. Play it again.
Why would the family be given that advice to wait to put out a reward?
At the beginning of these types of cases, particularly high-profile ones like this, there's not an absence of tips. So it does two things. It reactivates the tip line, and it puts a lot of pressure on those handful of people that know what happened.
That's a good thing. Because there's a movie called Ransom, starring Mel Gibson and Gary Sinise. And Gary Sinise is a bad cop who gets involved. And this is a remake. The movie is a remake. But this was with Rene Russo and Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is a airline executive who based on a Glenn Ford movie. And he basically says, I'm not paying you. I'm not paying you until you show me something, boop, 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 boop. And the point is, the end of the movie is there are several people involved. And once he says, if you'll rat somebody out, I'll give you the $1 million. It seems to me that if there's a conspiracy, if there's more than one person, and you give $1 million reward, then all of a sudden there's animosity between the conspirators. Because somebody in there is going to want to rat out. Somebody's going to want that $1 million. And I know it's ridiculous. Again, I do it way too much to compare life to fiction. But I think there's some reality in that. And even the PAC said that it puts pressure on those people. We've got 7 figures out there. We've got to figure out a way how to do this. And it just seems to me, if you do that immediately, now Nancy Guthrie becomes a commodity. If you do that on the first day that she's missing, I will give you $1 million to return my mother. Now there's $1 million bounty on Nancy Guthrie. And to get that $1 million, you got to keep her alive. But to wait 25 days or 24, as it was yesterday, to wait 24 days to provide a situation-changing reward for a woman who's 84 years old and has been off her meds for more than 3 weeks? I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I smell lawsuits. I think the Pima County Sheriff Office is going to get sued by the Guthrie family when they examine how this thing has been handled, particularly if this ends tragically. And at this point, I know I've said it from the beginning, but at this point, I just simply don't see how it cannot end tragically, just on the health issue. But even if they're feeding her well and taking care of her, she's been away from her pacemaker, she's been away from her medication. I just, this whole thing is just an absolute mystery to me. And as I hope most of you know, we spoke with Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco yesterday. And while he was classy enough not to specifically criticize Chris Nanos, he made it clear this wouldn't have happened this way in Riverside County.
I'm not going to criticize somebody else, but I will tell you that knowing how things have transpired, it would have been drastically different in my county. I'm a major, large county, much larger than that county.
Yeah.
And I would have been begging for federal resources to come in and help. I would have been wanting everything that they had to find the missing person, regardless of who it was, whether it's a celebrity or whether it's not. A kidnapping, we always involve our federal partners. The resources are just too great. You don't want to turn that away.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That's what I've been saying as well. Then we asked him, he went on to talk about the media and the gaffes that Nanos and Pima County made by opening up the crime scene to the media. Not only Annie Guthrie's house, which was a crime scene at one point when they believed that it was the brother-in-law, and Nancy Guthrie's home, where a pizza delivery man once showed up at the front door. And then the FBI got involved and then they taped it off again. But by that time, the media trampled all through possible evidence, where there were literally gloves found that were discarded by some of the investigators of Pima County. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? The Pima County officials were on the crime site and they took off their gloves and threw them on the ground. Those were some of the gloves that were recovered. Here's more from gubernatorial candidate and Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco.
To try and to give in to the media, absolutely never. Absolutely never. That's the number one rule of law enforcement. Media has absolutely no right to be anywhere. We keep them away. We keep them, give their distance. They can get their shots. We can give them little comments, but they don't control anything. They don't get extra attention. I think it would have been a completely different investigation here in Riverside County.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so, because heads are going to roll when this thing is done. And Nanos is on this media tour, and I understand he went on some event. He either went to, I don't know whether it was a basketball game or just something. And it's just a bad look. While your deputies are out, sweeping through the desert, I don't know whether it was a basketball game. It was some kind of event that some Phoenix newspapers took umbrage with, as I do. Just there's some things that on the face of them aren't necessarily bad, but they're just a bad look. I think the Kash Patel thing, is it a big deal that a government official celebrated with our U.S. hockey team in Milan? No, not really. But do you really want the top law enforcement agent chucking beers and slamming his hand on the desk and jumping up and down like he's 25 years old and drinking beers with a bunch of 20-year-olds? No, not really. That's a really bad look, particularly at a time when there's a major kidnapping going on, particularly at a time when a man walked onto the president's house to shoot him up, and particularly at a time when there are folks in Mexico locked in their hotel rooms hoping they can get back to the United States. And now we learned today that a whistleblower has come forward and said that on one of his joy rides, because remember, as I chronicled yesterday, this incompetent FBI director, Kash Patel, has been to Vegas 9 years. He's been 9 times. He's been in office for a year. He's been to Vegas 9 times. He took Wayne Gretzky to a hockey game in Madison Square Garden. A week later, he went to a UFC fight in Miami with his girlfriend. He's taken his girlfriend to many of her concerts. Apparently, she's a Z-list country western singer, and he's been traveling around. And we showed you the audio, and I'm sure you've seen it because everybody's playing it because it's the epitome of ultimate hypocrisy, where before he got into office, he was criticizing former FBI directors, including Chris Wray, the most recent predecessor, for using the government plane for their own joy. And now this guy has become the poster child of this. It's just a bad look. And of course, that gets us back to Chris Nanos, the Pima County Sheriff, who's out, enjoying his moment in the sun, his Andy Warhol obligated 15 minutes of fame. Isn't that crazy out of the 20th century how accurate Andy Warhol is or was? Everybody's going to get their 15 minutes of fame, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, or it's taking advantage of a horrible event where, as you see every single time, I'm a big critic of this, that whenever there's a major disaster, the mayor comes, and the city council member comes, and the alderman comes, and the assembly member comes, and the supervisor comes, and the staff comes, and the police chief comes, and everybody comes. Everybody comes because they know the national spotlight is on, and this is my moment. And everybody's got to talk, when really only one person has to talk. But everybody's lined up, aren't they? They all get in a line. And now I'm going to turn it over to our state's attorney, Now I'm going to turn it over to our Attorney General. Now the FBI Director would like to speak. The City Council member from that district would like to speak. It's crazy. It's crazy. And Nanos is doing interviews everywhere and just loving this. And I predict, and we'll follow this guy will never get elected sheriff again. Never, never, ever. Let's go ahead and take a quick time out. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Howard Marcus will join us at the top of the hour. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, LA 28 and their directors, LA 28 being the committee putting together the next Summer Olympics down in my hometown of Los Angeles, California. I'll tell you what they've decided on their director, Casey Wasserman, who got caught up in the Epstein dump, flirting and giggling and sending text messages to Ghislaine Maxwell back in 2003, which, for the record, was prior to Jeffrey Epstein being declared a sexual deviant and pedophile and convicted pedophile. We'll get into that. Then coming up in the 5, the folks from Bakersfield College are joining us. Dr. Cesar Jimenez, and live from Atlanta via the Rogers Brand and Global Telephone Network, Dr. Veronica Malay, a professor at Morehouse School of Medicine. They'll talk about a joint program that BC and KCCD, the Kern Community College District, has with the Morehouse School of Medicine, and how they're trying to bring more doctors back to Bakersfield. And no, my father was not a graduate of Morehouse School of Medicine. He is a graduate of Meharry Medical School in Nashville, Tennessee. The Morehouse Medical School was built in the late 80s or early 90s, even after I left. Dear old Morehouse. Quick time out. We're coming right back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Wednesday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk mental health with our friend Dr. Corey Gonzalez, unless he shows up without burritos, in which case he will be asked firmly but politely to leave. We will have state-of-the-art news and traffic to boot. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. If you're eligible for Medicare and looking for a doctor who listens and cares about you with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations, it's time you learned about QualCare IPA. You know, for years, I've been telling you QualCare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large network of outstanding doctors and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Medicare Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544 and let us help you understand your options for 2026. Call today, 661-554-4544. That's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs and meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
Are the rising waters of expenses and debt threatening to drown you? Many people try to stay afloat by borrowing more money or using debt settlement programs, but those can take years. If you're trapped under credit card debt, medical bills, payday loans, or buy now, pay later plans, Chapter 7 bankruptcy could free you much sooner, in about 4 months and for a fraction of the cost. Stop the harassing calls and letters, rebuild your credit quickly, and clear the way for a fresh start. At Clean Slate BK Group, consumer Chapter 7 bankruptcies are all we do. We can help you erase credit card debt, medical bills, personal loans, even past due utility bills. Find out if you qualify at no cost and with no obligation. Go to csbk.com. This is an attorney advertisement. Your results may vary, and prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Clean Slate BK Group PC, located at 7 Penn Plaza, Suite 601, New York, 10001, is responsible for the content of this ad. For more information, visit csbk.com. That's csbk.com. Your clean slate starts here.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters.
At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
You see the light come on, it's flashing at you, check your mileage, and yes, it's time for an oil change. Don't wait until your engine begs for help. Head to Kern Oil Change. Fast, friendly, and affordable service that keeps your car running smooth. No appointment needed. Just roll in, roll out, and drive with confidence. Plus, get free fluid top-off with every oil change. Kern Oil Change has 2 locations to serve you, 3706 Coffee Road and 5651 Auburn Street. Kern Oil Change is open 7 days a week. Get in, get out, get on with today. Follow us on Instagram for additional savings.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Eight 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got on board?
I apologize. One of the proud moments last night was when Congressman Al Green spoke to the power. He held up a sign that said, "Black people aren't apes," and Donald Trump saw it.
Yeah, I forgot about that and all the chaos. I was going to have you play Al Green while I talked about that. Because it's not that Al Green, it's a different Al Green. It's the same Al Green who got kicked out at the last hang on a second, I'm sorry. It's the same Al Green who got kicked out. Mike Johnson had to kick him out, had to get the Sergeant at Arms to kick him out the last joint session. And I told you there'd be nonsense. And there was almost a row. Because did you notice as Green was leaving the chamber, holding up his sign, one of the members, I thought it was Don Bacon, but it wasn't. But he grabbed his sign, man. You can't do that. If I'm holding up something, technically, I think that is battery or assault. You can't just, like, if I'm taking a picture, you can't just grab my camera. You can't just grab things from some people. It's like putting your hands on somebody. But they're congressional members. I'm sure they'll, excuse me, I'm sorry, I got to take all these. I'm getting all kind of text messages from people saying I almost fell for it too.
I'm telling you, not everybody has one of those moments. You shouldn't feel bad about it. They're just smart. They're getting really smart about this.
You know what got me was when I got transferred, and the original text message. Like, how do they have my email address? How do they have my phone number? And you know what that's about? That's about going on all these different websites, buying golf clubs, things like that, where you have to give out your information and it gets in that cloud and these people get it.
True.
You know, we talk about this in terms of IT. This is a little different. This is off my phone. But just, and there were a couple of screw ups where they didn't know what kind of phone I had. That should have tipped me off.
Sorry, I just thought this is where you need adaptive networks to block your stuff.
Can they do that? That'll be our topic next Wednesday.
No, I don't know if they actually do that. I'm
Can
just
they
saying,
get on your phone and help you? I mean, I don't know if they can, if that's what exactly they do. Okay, Danny. Hang on, I'm sorry. We'll get back to a radio show. Yeah. I mean, it was brilliantly done. It really was. And I think it's 40% brilliance and 60% I'm just a freaking dumbass. Because when they set up that other name, and I shouldn't say this, but they were both brothers. That should have tipped me off as well. The guy I was talking to was a brother, and the name that I sent the money to was like a Jakari something. And I should have, and this may sound racist. I'm just telling you my life story. Every single person I have ever dealt with Chase has either been Indian or Filipino. Now, you can call me a racist if you want. I'm just telling you the facts. I could take a lie detector test and pass it. And these were two brothers. And I'm telling you, I swear, when I was going through that seemed bizarre to me.
Well, that's what actually I was about to say. Did you actually talk to the second person?
Yes, I got the first person called me.
Okay.
Let me transfer you to our specialist, which reeled me in. And then he had information, Mr. Bailey, it's good to talk to you. Thank you for being a Chase customer, and gave me the whole song and dance. And the other thing that Randy told me that I should have keyed on is it took like an hour and a half. Literally. It took because there were 3 alleged transactions.
Yeah.
And he walked me through how I was allegedly erasing that when in fact I was sending that.
Creating.
And I asked that, I said, why am I putting in the amount? He said, because we have to verify that amount. But you're right. When I opened up my account, when I was on the phone with him, and it was accurate, I should have just said, well, the money's in my account, so I'm not worried about it. We head into the 4. Our good friend Howard Marcus joins us next.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Pete Peters in Washington. More snow is in the forecast as the Northeast scrambles to clear piles from last storm. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Another round is in the forecast. National Weather Service forecaster Bob Oravec.
Potential maybe on Monday for another potential heavy snow event across parts of the Ohio Valley, Midwest into the Northeast.
New Yorker Haley Glickman-Hawk, who is out shoveling, says she used to live in Boston, which got even more snow, and hopes it doesn't get that bad here.
Where you're like packing in the snow to try to get more on top of the pile without it falling off. We haven't hit that yet. So
power outages, flight delays and cancellations, traffic accidents, and other weather-related issues continue in some parts of the Northeast due to the snow. Julie Walker, New York.
Reaction to last night's State of the Union speech by President Trump still coming in. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the address showed how President Trump is working to bring down costs.
Obviously, a lot of his focus was on safer streets, more money in your pocket, and new opportunities to get ahead for working families. So good evening, but obviously a lot more to do, and he actually laid out sort of an agenda which we look forward to working on. One of the things that will be immediately on that agenda is a housing bill, which gets at the heart of the affordability issue.
Family Research Council President Tony Perkins says President Trump's speech didn't focus on cultural issues, and he's concerned about the abortion issue being ignored by some Republicans.
As that becomes more widely known, I do think it is a liability going into the midterm election, and there's so little room to spare when you look at the margins between Republicans and Democrats controlling the House.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 307 points, the Nasdaq rose 288, the S&P 500 advanced 56. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey there, it's Chris, and as you know, Israel is a hot discussion point right now. I just talked about it on a panel at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. There's so many opinions and emotions surrounding the subject, and the Bible tells us, of course, I will bless those who bless you. That's not just a comforting promise, it's a clear calling from God. And today, with anti-Semitism rising around the world, the calling is more urgent than ever. At a time when Jewish communities are experiencing more hostility, more threats, more violence than ever, Christians have a real opportunity, a powerful opportunity, to respond with God's love, to say, you're not alone. When Christians choose to bless Israel, you're not entering into a political issue. You're honoring the roots of our faith and standing against hatred. Supporting Israel is more than just a belief. It's a biblical mandate. Partnering with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, you can push back against darkness and be a light to God's people. Go to ifcj.org to learn more. That's ifcj.org. Live the word, answer the call.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
A Bakersfield resident gets recognition from the president. I'm Chris Davis. Her name is Delilah Coleman, and the car she was in was hit by a big truck in 2024. She was handicapped in the wreck, and at last night's State of the Union speech, she was recognized as a semi-drive, a big rig. Professor Damon Johnson of the Renegade Institute for Liberty can't be fired. And diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, says a ruling from U.S. District Judge Kirk E. Sheriff. But the ruling is only a partial victory for Johnson. The judge says he can be made to go through DEI training to be able to serve on a faculty screening committee. Employees of Bakersfield City Schools, like bus drivers and who were called classified employees, got a 1% raise this year, while members of the school board voted to give themselves a raise of more than $2,000 in January for attending school board meetings. At one of those meetings Tuesday, some of those classified employees showed up to express their displeasure with that decision, some even marching around the room. Negotiations may lead to a larger raise in March. Feeding animals on Bakersfield City property could get you a fine if you're caught, but the Kern County Board of Supervisors is taking a pause on passing a similar ordinance for the county after public comment at their Tuesday meeting. Those soups say they will take another look at it and may even have a committee on it before making a final decision. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You gotta get up close like this. Bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Wednesday. And don't forget, the Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Network. Networks at 661-241-0 adaptive-net.com. We will get into the Olympics, what's going on with the Olympic Committee, the Los Angeles Olympics. Then in the 5, Dr. Cesar Jimenez and Dr. Veronica Malay from BC and Morehouse School of Medicine, respectively, will join us about a program trying to bring more physicians here to Kern County. And our Black History Month moment will focus on Dr. Cornel West, professor, philanthropist, author, television pundit, and overall good egg. But it is a Wednesday.
It's a bright new morning where we can move along. Blue sky above,
everyone's around. Up the lazy river, how happy we will be. Up the lazy river with me. Up the lazy river, the old mills run. The lazy, lazy river in the evening sun. Linger in the shade. Howard Marcus! We're never going to get to you. We're never going to get to you if he keeps playing some of my favorite Dean Martin songs. That is,
I haven't heard that in a while.
I know. That's one of my favorites. Him with the Mills Brothers.
Yeah.
And I think that's live off the show.
It's from his show.
Yeah.
I remember when he had the Mills Brothers on.
Yeah, I've seen the video. And he talked about his relationship with the Mills Brothers, that he got a lot of his moves because the Mills Brothers, there were 4 brothers, literally, brothers and brothers. And they just had this kind of cool, like, little sway that they would use when they sang. All the 4 of them would kind of just sway. And Dean said he kind of picked that up. He kind of used that because if you look at Dean's concerts throughout the 60s, and he didn't really do much concerting in the 70s, kind of slowed down. But he was one of the few singers, like even Sinatra and Tony Bennett, they kind of just stand there and sing.
Right.
But Dean would flail his arms around and kind of skip, kind of funnily. just kind of danced a little bit. And he talked about his influence from the Mills Brothers.
I'll tell you, I would just wish I could go back in time and see when they were all together, like at the Tropicana or the Sands. Cool.
Yeah.
It's just things where I was just too young, and obviously never happened. It never will happen. But
I was
odds are gone forever, unfortunately.
as immature as I was, and probably still am. I was kind of an old soul. Yeah. And so when I would go to Vegas, I would actually go see shows. I went and saw Alan King. Do you remember?
Oh my God, way back. Yeah, he was the head of the Friars Club Roast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Funniest concert, literally the funniest concert he killed. And it was so weird. It was at it was in a room at the Sahara.
Okay.
It was free with a 2-drink minimum.
Well, that's amazing.
And the drinks were, and this is in the 80s. This was a ton of money in the 80s for a cocktail. They were $18.
That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah. So it was $36 to see Alan King. And I asked the waitress, I'm like 20, 21, and I said, why not charge $35 and you get 2 drinks for free? As opposed to saying it's free and it's a 2-drink minimum and every drink's $18. You know what I'm saying? I don't
wonder why. I don't know. Well, that's just their marketing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems
Somebody
stupid.
smarter than me would have figured it out.
Yeah,
back then in the '60s, look, I was a kid in the '60s and a teenager in the '70s. In the '60s, it was like the Monkees, the Beatles, and all that. In the '70s, for me, it was like Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and even Queen. It was just anything but that. But you get older, you learn to appreciate more forms, I think, of music. You learn to appreciate what you really missed as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I fortunately, because of my dad, got turned on to all those old school guys early.
Oh, my dad listened to all that stuff. He did.
Yeah.
You know what he was really into? He's Austrian, so he was really into like the classical stuff, like Mozart and that kind of stuff. But he was also of all things, really into musicals. Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Yeah.
He would play that stuff, and for him, I think it was because of what he went through. It was his release.
Yeah.
Had a horrendous life, and I think he found refuge in music.
Yeah.
He really did.
And I didn't realize until, and I've told this story as I've told every story I've ever told 1,000 times. On my 16th birthday, my dad took me to the Universal Amphitheater to see Frank. And I was greatly disappointed. A, because Michael Jackson was in town, and my mother told me that my father was taking me to a concert, and I had told my friends I was going to see Michael Jackson. And B, I just didn't think I knew Frank Sinatra's music. And we got there, and Tom Sullivan was the opening comic act, and he was hilarious. And then Frank came out, and I guess just by osmosis, just from growing up around the music, I knew just about every doggone song he sang. He killed it. I thought he was looking at me. I told my dad, I asked my dad on the way home, did you pay Mr. Sinatra extra? I said, what are you talking about? I said, he was staring at me the whole night. And my dad kind of, Mr. Sinatra gets paid millions of dollars to think that he's looking at them all night. So stupid. Because he was looking at me the whole night.
He worked the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. He worked the crowd. Yeah.
Now, you back. I'll play or I'll listen to or I'll watch like My Fair Lady, and instantly I'm back with my dad. He was a big audiophile. He had these speakers back then. They were called Mzillas. And he back when stereo systems were these huge rack systems you had to go build. He was really into that. And so for us, I knew when he had a bad day because he'd be in we had a little den and he'd be in there playing that music.
That's what I used to do. When I was in my 20s, when I was depressed, I would listen to Sinatra. And it was mostly relationship related. So if I was happy and in a great relationship, I'd play one of his love songs. And then if I had gotten dumped or dumped somebody or broke up with somebody, I'd play, it's 2:45. There's nobody in the place. Just sit there for like half hour, 45 minutes listening to Sinatra.
The healing power of music.
It's true.
No, it's true.
I need to go home and listen to some music, man. I've been down before, but I haven't been this down in a long time.
How's your mom doing? Is that why?
No, I made a banking error and I am broke. I'm going to get the money back apparently from Chase, but in about 3 to 5 days.
Well, listen, just to point out there is eBay, and you don't need 2 kidneys.
I just feel like such a dope because there were a couple of moments during the transaction where I was like, I kind of like frowned and was like, that doesn't sound like normal procedure, but The guy had my number. They texted me. I got transferred. I fell just hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker.
And you were talking about earlier about the Indian and Filipino. That's all offshore now. I mean, it is because the costs. You're talking to Mumbai or
It's
You're
true.
talking to someone in the Philippines. And look, I understand they're trying to keep costs down. The problem is it's at the expense of U.S. jobs. But I don't know people in the United States who want to do that work anymore.
Yeah.
You can't afford to pay the living wage here, so you're paying somebody literally peanuts overseas.
Yeah.
The way it is.
That should have. That's what's killing me. There were like 5 different times where I said to myself, "This is extraordinary. Wait a minute." And then I said, "Well, it has to be. He knows what he's talking about. He's got my info. He had info on me. That's what fooled me."
They've gotten that sophisticated. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
I know you got to be real careful. It's amazing because somehow they go on the dark web, but God knows why they get your IP address. They get data you think you've never known. But everybody doesn't realize that they're on a list, and most of your stuff's out there.
Yeah.
And they've either hacked into a banking system at some time in the past, or they've gotten some kind of usually it's nothing you've disclosed. It's either something you've done, someone you've paid, or somewhere you've banked that they've had a data breach at some point, and you're in there. It's nothing you did deliberately.
And the other thing
they're very sophisticated about it.
They really did. And the other thing I should have caught is that he kept saying we need to do this immediately before the transfer goes through.
Yeah.
And at that point, we can't retrieve it.
My aunt called me about a year or two ago, and she's older, and she's fairly sophisticated. She said, "What are you doing in London?" The usual, "Hey, I had an accident, something horrible, I need money." And she called me on my cell, and I said, "I'm not in London. Whoever it is, don't send any money."
Yeah.
And she knows better, but they get very convincing.
Yeah. Well, and
You're not alone.
I'm just a dope. What did you think of the president's speech?
Well, the problem with Trump, the only problem I have is they go on forever, and and you can't control him. It's not like he's going to take cue cards or he's going to take notes and just stick for that.
Oh no, I
told
told
great moments. I told that entire thing is going to be cut up, and it's going to be an incredible series of ads for the Republicans.
That's exactly what I said. Particularly,
you're right. I saw that when he asked when you sit down for that little girl who's from Bakersfield that got almost killed by an illegal alien Sikh driver, and she was a local news story, and you can't stand up for her, or you have a Medal of Honor people, and you have people that are killed tragically, and you sit through that with your hands and you're sitting on your hands, and when they ask a real obvious question that's a no-brainer, who do you put first, Americans or illegal aliens? And you can't stand for that.
Yeah.
That's insane. And you're going to see those campaign ads over and over and over again. Thank God.
That's exactly what I said at the top of the show, that if you're running for Congress or Senate, that's got to be your lead ad.
Well, I'll tell you the one I give credit for, the most important thing to me of the night, in a way that shows something that's a time gone by, is if you saw the interview with John Fetterman when he's actually wearing a suit.
And he shook the president's hand.
Is an old school, that's a blue dog, Tip O'Neill Democrat.
Yeah, he shook the president's hand when he was coming down the aisle.
Yep, and they asked him. He says he respects the office. He says they may disagree, and he talked about people. He made comments about the idiots that were speaking up, like Omar and all this. And he's been that way. He's been consistently a decent person. I don't agree with most of his politics, but he's somebody you can have a civil dialogue with, and he gets it that we are horribly lacking in civility. That was the thing that stood out almost the most.
Yeah.
Was his response, which should be the Democrat response. They are so incredibly obsessed with their anti-Trump agenda that they are shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
They are doing nothing to help themselves. Any moderate independent watches that and still votes for them and needs to have their brain examined, because these people are about as anti-American, anti-citizen as you can get. They don't care about you or your feelings or your family or your life. It's all about a progressive agenda that has nothing to do with the good of the country or the good of Americans. Nothing. It's all about political agendas, and they made it very clear.
Did you see the Huffington Post story?
No.
Where either the headline or the lead was something, I'm paraphrasing because I can't find it. I thought I'd written it down. I think I tore it out of my legal pad, but said something to the fact, if you are tired of chanting USA and seeing the American flag being waved, you're not alone. And it's like, what?
Well, you got to realize, and they keep using poll numbers. People got to remember, automatically there's a 50% negative on anything that Trump does, because the country's fairly evenly divided. So I started ignoring poll numbers. All I know is I deal I'm 25-year plus good friends with a whole group of guys that are blue collar, normal guys. And every single one of them gets it, and every single one of them is for Trump. The average person that has to work for a living, that has to pay bills month to month, that understands, that has to go out and shop, and has to deal with crime, it has to do with what you and I have to do in daily life. They get it. The only ones that can afford not to are the very wealthy that can afford to make lip service to progressive agendas because they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to worry about paying their bills. Or like what you just went through, trying to get your money back.
Yeah.
You know, they've got bundles of money. They've got nannies. They've got bodyguards. They've got security. But the average guy gets it, which is why Trump won and why the midterms, I don't think it would be as disastrous as they are. The economy is really turning around. There's a image being peddled by the liberal media that things are horrible, and they're not. I've seen all my bills go down. My taxes were the lowest they've ever been this year. I paid a rate of about 5%, which is half of what it was just a couple of years ago. With the standard deduction, no shenanigans. The eggs are down to 99 cents a dozen. Gas is actually lower than it's been in a long time in
5
California.
years. 5 years.
Yeah. And you see all these numbers. Homes are moving again. And once this kind of trickles through the collective consciousness, people are going to get it. And I hope they do because, unfortunately, we tend to be selfish. We vote our pocketbooks first, and long-term goals and strategies second.
Yeah.
The one article that scared me the most had nothing to do with this election, nothing to do with anything else, was that China is negotiating with Iran to buy hypersonic anti-ship missiles. And they were currently negotiating to buy them. They're going to buy them, and it's going to turn the Straits of Hormuz into a bucket with the ships floating in the middle being shot up by Iran.
Yeah.
And we have to stop that deal. And the idea somehow that one of the things I do have problems with Trump, and I'll tell you this flat out, is so obsessed with the art of the deal that he will let 600,000 potential spies come here from China, that he ignores the fact that Putin is the aggressor, keeps slamming Zelensky, ignores the Chinese aggressive moves in the hope that somehow they'll be reasonable and they'll actually do a business deal with them, and ignores the reality on the ground. That's my biggest complaint, is that he's so obsessed with having a deal that he will let reality become blurred, and that's a major fault.
Are we inevitably going to get into a conflict with Iran?
Oh yeah, they're already hardening the sites that we struck. I just saw the satellite photos. They're already re-hardening the sites we just struck, the nuclear sites, with concrete overlays. They're burying the entrances with concrete bunkers. They are proceeding with their program. They are attempting to recover. They are already starting up all the research that we thought we had stopped. They have absolutely every intention to get nuclear weapons. And for them, it's the ultimate deterrent because they're getting more sophisticated ballistic missiles. You know, it's sort of like when we had mutually assured destruction with the Soviets. The only way they're going to stop us from stomping them is to have actual nuclear weapons and missile ballistic missiles.
Yeah.
Have to at all costs stop them because they're just crazy enough. Of all the countries that have them, people who realize that India and Pakistan and a whole host of countries have them, they're the only people crazy to try and use them.
Yeah. So you think, I mean, if this is going to happen,
it's going to happen soon.
I was just going to say, it's going to happen probably this weekend.
Yeah, it has to. If he's going to do it at all, he's got to do it. He can't give them this endless prep time. They just moved. There's only two. They're like equivalent of the old AWACS planes.
Yeah.
Electronic communications. There's only two of the entire military. They just moved one into the area. The two.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to do it. We're not going to broadcast it. We've already given the deadline. We know they're going to meet the deadline. We know they're stalling for time. Regardless of what they said, they've already made statements that they're never going to give in to all our demands. They're still Hezbollah is rearming. They're reaffirming support for all these proxy groups. They're just stalling like they've always done. And you know, this is the best we've ever had in the last 40 years of actually getting rid of these idiots. This is the weakest the regime has ever been. They're already military compromised because of the 12-day war. If we're going to do it, we have to do it now. We can't let them completely rearm, completely upgrade, and then try and do it, because then we will have serious U.S. casualties.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Always great to talk to you, Howard. Say hello to Mary. We'll wrap to you next Thursday.
All right, so I may not be able to do it. I'm having that biopsy on Tuesday. We'll see.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Well, the percentages don't look good, but we'll see.
What do you want to talk about it?
On the air now or off the air?
Well, obviously off the air then.
Well, no, let's wait and see how it goes. I'm going to hope it does.
All right, we're praying for you, man.
Well, thank you.
All right, take care.
Talk to you later.
Howard Marcus. Quick time out. Coming right back. It's TRBS on a Wednesday. Don't go anywhere.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, a deep dive into MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, with Dr. Marty Makary, who is the Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. Some big things to talk about with him that will affect the health of America. And yes, you and your family will discuss that. Plus, looking at the economy, the border, the other big issues of the day on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Highlights of this radio broadcast appears on Thursdays at 4:30. Our money man, Daniel Petrie with Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. You all know by now what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. You know that I've turned on staff members who are extremely happy with being a client with Daniel. And I've told you I've been a client. The single most important, smartest financial move I have ever made. If you're staring at retirement late in life and you're in the fourth quarter, call Daniel, 395-9400. 400. Just keep it locked. Tune in every Thursday at 4:30 podcast. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-1509. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-1509 or BigLou.com.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time. Locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Latina searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till Good RX wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags in a red.
Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
New day, yard tootin'.
Save time and money.
Put it to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Old school Elvis. Donnie and Frankie. Eight 842-5376, 842-KERN. What are you on the board?
Let's see. Thank you for sharing your story about being a scam victim, Ralph. By spreading awareness, it might help avoid or others avoid falling victim. I know it's embarrassing, but you're speaking out for people who may be too ashamed to call out.
Yeah, I almost didn't talk about it because, like I said, there were 5 times that I should have recognized what was going on. and I just didn't. I don't know how. You know, when the guy said send money, I don't know how that didn't dawn on me, but it just, by that point I was hooked. You know, how did they send me a text message? How did they call me? You know, I'm a Chase representative. I'm gonna I think that's what hooked me. So I'm gonna transfer you to our fraud specialist. And this has happened to me many times. I've gone through, like Chris can avow for this, I've gone through 4 or 5 different cards. Like I said, I was with Sam Brannon one afternoon. We were playing golf and it popped up and I had to we had to sit on a tee box while I dealt with this. I said, sorry, Sam, maybe you can keep going on and I can take an Uber and I'll just play by myself, or just let me take 10 minutes. There was nobody on the course. And he said, just go ahead and work it out. And we worked it out in 15 minutes. And I should have realized this took literally, I was on the phone with this guy for like an hour and a half. And he just walked me through, he took me to my account. He had a number that was similar. And I just fell for it. I just absolutely thought it was real. And I thought I was clearing up 3 different accounts when in fact I was emptying out my own bank account. And again, fortunately, it looks like I'm going to get the money back in 3 to 5 days, but I guess all wells that end well.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has told reporters he was made aware of an incident with Cuban soldiers and that the U.S. is now gathering its own information to determine if the victims were American citizens or permanent residents. We have various different elements of the U.S. government that are trying to identify elements of the story that may not be provided to us now, Rubio said. Vice President J.D. Vance has announced that the Trump administration would temporarily halt some Medicaid funding to the state of Minnesota over fraud concerns as part of what he described as an aggressive crackdown on misuse of public funds. Vance made the announcement Wednesday with Dr. Mehmet Oz. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 307 points, the NASDAQ rose 288. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Delilah's Law, which would make it illegal for someone in the country illegally to get a commercial driver's license and drive a big truck, has not been passed by Congress. But President Trump asked Congress to do that at the State of the Union speech last night, calling Delilah Coleman of Bakersfield an inspiration. She was handicapped in a wreck with a big rig 2 years ago. Kern County supervisors are holding off on passing an ordinance making it illegal to feed animals on county property. Public comment at Tuesday's board meeting. Irma Carson, who was the first black police officer, was honored with a resolution by the city school board Tuesday for her 15 years of service on that board. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 11.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. You know, the Subaru to Love event is going on now through March 31st at Sangera Subaru. And of course, spring is the best time to get an incredible offer on that new Subaru you've been wanting, like a 2025 one now for only $219 a month, 6 months, and just $5,700 due at signing. And remember, every Subaru always comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. And don't forget, this offer ends. I see my good friends Damon Culbertson, Hassan Levy, and all the guys during the to Love event. Pick out your new Subaru for spring and hit the open road. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersfield Auto Mall, 24/7 at sangerasubaru.com.
Through March 31st, 2026, lease a 2025 Forester Sport CVT for $219 a month on a 36-month lease. $0 due at lease signing plus tax and license. 75. RP $40,814. VIN number SH617136. Code SFF-24.
Thursday's Armstrong and Getty show. Did Gavin Newsom just sit in front of a black audience and say, "I'm stupid just like you are"? We'll let you decide.
In order to take Taiwan, what would that do to our economy? I'll give you a hint. and disastrous. Got to factor that in. Plus, whatever the news of the day turns out to be on the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show. Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Friday's child, her daddy they call hard times. Friday's child, that's me.
You know, it's one of the reasons I hesitated to talk about this, because I knew what would happen, and it's happening. I'm getting inundated on Facebook through Messenger, and people that know me on text inundating me with messages. I won't tell you who sent them, but this came from a Facebook friend who I don't think I know personally, but they said, I just heard about your story of getting scammed with Chase Bank. I lost but recouped $12,000 through a PayPal scam with my funds of Bank of America. When I was dealing with loss prevention for PayPal, he kept saying, oh, geez, oh my God. And I can't believe this, over and over. He said the texter and then caller actually got into my phone and was changing or answering replies that the scammers actually sent me. He said he'd never seen anything like that. About an hour or so with going back and forth on the phone, I hung up and went straight to the local B of A branch. Yeah, it doesn't really soothe me. So they're saying that they were basically smarter than I was and they didn't get taken. Thanks. That makes me feel really good. That's not, oh geez, I accepted something I shouldn't have accepted. And then David, another friend of mine, David, texted me that I've been with LifeLock for about 10 years and they have saved us bundles of money and huge headaches. Well worth it. I might do that. I just don't, I just feel like a dope. I mean, I'm getting the money back, and the next couple of days are going to be weird and hard because they have told me that I can basically overdraft my account until the money gets back into my account, and that Chase will reimburse me for the overdraft fees, which is nice. I mean, I love Chase. And that's why I reacted so quickly, because Chase, like I said, this happened to me in Vegas. I was in Vegas, and this was years ago when I was broke, and I had about $1,400 in the bank. I had intended to spend $1,000 in Vegas because I had paid for my hotel, I had paid for my flight, and I had $1,400 left over, and I was going to blow $1,000 in Vegas, and then have $400 when I came home. And the very first time I went down to the casino and made a withdrawal, it said insufficient funds. And I'm like, what? And I did it again, and I did it again. And then I finally went up to my room and I called them, and they said, well, we have a charge for some sex thing for like $1,300. And I was like, that's absolutely not me. And they said, okay, we'll start the refund process. And I said, is there any way you can expedite this? As you can tell from my phone call, I'm on vacation. I'm in the middle of my vacation, and I'm broke. I'm literally broke. I had like $100 left. And it was my first day of a 4-day stay. And I literally almost called a friend to front me some money, because what else could I have done? I had $100, and I was staying in Vegas for the next 4 days. And Chase was, within 3 hours, they had that money back in my account. So I've loved Chase, and I think that's why, and like I said, once I was playing golf with Sam Brandon, same thing happened. We're on the 13th hole, and I had to sit there, and thankfully there was nobody behind us, and I had to sit there and deal with Chase, but again, it took 15 minutes. Once I was on the phone with this guy for like a half an hour, because again, the whole total time I was on the phone was like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And after about a half an hour, it should have dawned on me, I've never had to do this. And I've never had to go into my account. And it's just embarrassing. It's just, God, if I had just hung up, and I kept going back to my account and wondering why the money is still there. and how I couldn't deduce this has to be a sucker plan because the money would be gone. And he kept saying, well, we've got to act fast before we can prevent this, but we've got to act fast. We've got to do this and that and that and this. And I even hung up on him accidentally, and he called me back. I don't know. What are you going to do? What the hell are you going to do? In the meantime, let's check the board, see what you got.
Ralph, don't beat yourself up over this bank fraud thing. It happens. I feel sorry for you. I could drop about $20 if you need it, if it'll help a friendly listener at Marissa.
Thank you, Marissa. I appreciate that. No, I'm good. Now I just have to figure out, because I had to redo my whole bank, my username, my password, and I tried to use that, and now I can't get into my account. That's the only reason, because what I told them when they told me, well, it's going to be 3 or 5 days before we can refund your money, I said, what do I do that before then? And that's when I said, can I overdraft my account? Because there's $12 in my account. Can I just overdraft? And she said, yes, and we will reimburse you for all the overdraft fees that you use, because it's only going to be, 1 or 2 days. I'm assuming I'll have it, what's today, Wednesday? I'll have it by Monday, I'm assuming. And I've got access to other funds that can get me to Monday. I'm not worried about that. But I can't get into my account right now. That the username and the password that they gave me isn't working. And it's a brand new password that I just got this morning. So I've got to go home tonight and call Chase again and figure out why I can't get, because I could have taken an Uber and just overdrafted, or the Uber wouldn't have cost me $12. Uber normally costs me about $10, so I could have used it, but I can't get into my account. What else you got?
I get what you're saying, Ralph, about the kidnapping, but you ought to know more than anybody that the media are like vultures. They don't take no for an answer, and they swarm everything.
Yeah, but it's the sheriff's job to cordon it off. You don't invite them in. You don't let them trample over a crime scene, no matter what stage in the crime scene it is. They spent 2 days investigating Nancy Guthrie's home, and then they let the media in. And you heard Chad Bianco, the Riverside County Sheriff, we had him on as a gubernatorial candidate, who said, no, you don't do that. You don't ever let the media in. And he also said you automatically, immediately call in the FBI. And he even went further to say, because my thesis was, the minute this became a national story, Pima County could not handle it. And he said, Pima County, I think Sheriff Bianco implied, Pima County couldn't handle a normal kidnapping. That's the job of the FBI. They should have called them in immediately. And Nanos did not do that. It was 48 hours, 2 entire days. And, in the case of a kidnapping, 2 days is a lifetime. Because if you're going to get somebody back, it's early. The longer chance you have. And there are a couple of things that I've heard that I wanted to pass along, and just talking to listening to different pundits. A, they're saying, some of the experts said, but she's 84 years old, that she should have fought tooth and nail, that she should have never allowed them to take her out of the house. And they said the same thing about a car, that no matter how old you are, it's just like we tell children, don't ever get into a car with somebody. Well, it's the same thing for adults. I heard an former FBI supervisor today, the one we quoted, Jake Pack, say literally, if you're being held at gunpoint and they're dragging you into a car, your best bet is to try to push away, fight the gun, and run. Because the handgun is the most difficult gun to hit the target, and you have a better shot of survival running from the guy with the gun than you do getting in the car. Because their belief is once you get into the car, you're done. The person being dropped off at the ARCO station arrest. No, it ends up where the kids are frustrated. They realize they are not going to get access to this money without exposing themselves. and they end up murdering the victim and trying to hide from police, which we know is virtually an impossibility in the 21st century. One more, and let's take a break.
Bakersfield just settled a $22 million lawsuit on an accident that happened in 2023. Who pays for it? Are we now $22 million in the negative next or this year or next year?
I don't know. We'll ask Mr. Turnipseed tomorrow. Yes, I assume we're paying for it. $22 million because a Bakersfield police officer did not use his lights and siren to chase in a high-speed chase, and he ended up killing a Bakersfield resident, badly injuring another. And he never went to jail. I believe he got 2 years probation and 500 hours of community service. But yet we have to pay $22 million. And yet he might even get his job back, for all I know. I don't understand it. And I don't understand how we can afford it. But yes, you and I are paying for that. And it should come out of the police department. And I think we need to change how we deal with our police officers. This qualified immunity's got to go. They should have to buy insurance just like a physician has to buy insurance. And when you conduct yourself in a unlawful manner, it should be either covered by your insurance or not, or you have to pay for it. Now, you're never going to get $22 million out of a police officer, but you could make their life hell and garner their wages for the rest of their lives and let the city have to pick up a portion of it. I don't know, something's got to be changed. But the fact that a cop is able to go speeding through the streets with his siren and lights off and kill somebody and get 2 years probation and 500 hours of community service and go on about his life. And, 22 million is a wonderful amount, but it's not going to bring back that family's loved one. But what do I know? We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, top of the hour, folks from Bakersfield College, we're going to talk with Dr. Cesar Jimenez and Dr. Veronica Malay, live from Atlanta. She's a professor at Morehouse School of Medicine. They've got a program connected with Bakersfield College that hopefully will bring more physicians to our community and create a working relationship with the Morehouse School of Medicine. And our Black History Month moment focuses on author, activist, television pundit, professor, Dr. Cornel West. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.
Casey,
you got one?
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
So I'm not defending this woman. Yes, her attitude probably stinks because, well, she's from Bakersfield. 2, she's got to put up with dumb people calling 911 because, well, she's from Bakersfield. Which leads me to my other question. Who in the hell still calls 911 in this community? Expecting somebody's going to actually show up to your 911 call. Let's just be real.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Things I rarely talk about when I talk about Casey's Steakhouse is and the lunch. fact, the way they react. You work downtown, you work for the county or wherever on Truxton. It's not very far, and it's real quick, and it's very convenient, and the menu is similar, just smaller portions. It is outstanding. And the variety on the menu that Chef Daniel's put together now is simply unbelievable. It's mostly a large groups that come to Casey's Steakhouse. Not everybody's feeling red meat to celebrate someone's birthday or an anniversary or whatever the event may be. And that's why Italian food. Yeah. I love the fettuccine chicken. The lobster mac and cheese is everybody's favorite. The fish dishes, the mahi-mahi, the swordfish, the halibut. Where would you rather be than on F Street? And don't forget about the Stockyard next door for meetings, banquets, or just having dinner and having some of the craft cocktails that are served next. Sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
This month, and Lincoln.
by offering unlimited talk, text, and
Or if
plenty of
people aren't
data
so fucking
for just
stupid.
$25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds
they
of dollars
texted me
for the
and then called
same
me right after they
5G
had
service.
me.
What's up with
And
that?
they
Ben Franklin wasn't
transferred
even a
me.
president.
They had
When you
me.
switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an
That's
American
what I
wireless
can't
company that
understand.
supports our vets
That's
in
what
a
I
big
can't
way
understand.
and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound for an American wireless company that is truly
I can
Pure Talk.
overdraft.
I'm here
my
with
account
Dr.
and they
Tarkesh from
will
Affordable
reimburse me
Dentures
for
and
the
Implants.
overdraft.
Doc, people often think dental implants are a one-size-fits-all solution. How is Affordable Dentures
No,
and
that's why I
Implants
can't get
different?
in my account.
That's a
because
great
they
question.
reset
You know,
my
every
account,
patient is unique,
and
and
now I don't
each
even
person
know
has
what the
their
fuck.
own specific
They
needs.
gave me
So
a new
we create
username
a
and a new
personalized
password,
treatment
but it's
plan.
not
Wow. And what makes your process stand
Look at this,
apart
dude.
from
Look at
the
this.
other?
We offer advanced digital dentistry, which let us design and create custom solutions. And with our on-site lab, we can offer same-day teeth for many patients. No waiting for weeks for your new smile.
Same-day teeth? Now that's impressive.
Get the smile you've always wanted without anxiety at Affordable Dentures and Implants. Dr. specializes in implants with IV sedation. And at AffordableDentures.com. Affordable Dentures and Implants. That's what we do.
Go ahead and smile.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back
We'll
to the
put two
Ralph
girls.
Bailey Show
Let's put
on
two girls
News Talk
on there and have them
96.1
roll
and
around the
AM
room.
1180 KERN.
And then you can still put two girls in the front seats. Yeah. But then put it on 14, it's the longest time. So they can't hit it. That's the idea. And I had the list ready this morning too. I swear on my father's grave. I swear on my father's grave, before the chaos erupted, I had our guest is at the door. I guess Lisa will let him in. Yeah, I guess they're handling it. Dr. Jimenez is here.
Fantastic.
Our guest coming up at 5:00. Don't forget, we're inside of a month. Honor Flight Open, March 23rd at Bakersfield Country Club. Sign up now. And I believe what we're doing is Mr. Flores and I are going to create a twosome, and then we're going to raffle off or figure out a way how to complete the foursome. And two of you all will get to play with JR and I, and it'll be a laugh fest because JR hasn't played in a while, and I just happen to be playing as badly as I can play. But we'll have a blast. We will have a blast, and we'll be raising money for our veterans, most importantly. So just go to honorflightopen.com, and by next week, we'll figure out a way how we'll give away the two spots to play with Mr. Flores and I. When JR hits it, JR hits it. He hits it a long way. Reminds me when I was young. But I played like an idiot this weekend. We'll see about this weekend. This past weekend, I played like an idiot, but it was windy. There were some tough conditions. There really were. And I don't play well. I'm just struggling to play well in good weather, let alone when it was windy and stuff like that. What do you got on the board?
In the 60s, when I was a kid, my dad had a truck, or had an 8-track, he played, or 8-track, I apologize, an 8-track that he played in his car over and over, Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass.
My dad's was, we had one with Lou Rawls, we had one with Ray Charles, and we had a Barry White. And my dad just constantly played that. He had a case. My dad had a case. He used to create little mini suitcases where you could put in your 8 tracks. That's how big 8 tracks were. And then like in the late 70s, cassettes came in. And cassettes revolutionized music in your vehicles because 8 tracks, you can't fast forward through the song. You see what I'm saying? Like you can switch, but you can't like with why am I explaining to y'all how cassettes work? Y'all know how cassettes work. You can fast forward it, but you can't fast forward 8 track. You can only jump forward to the next song, I believe. But yeah, it absolutely revolutionized music in your vehicles. But because I know this because it was right before the transition happened, right before I was to travel to Atlanta by myself. And just, it was much easier with 8 than with cassettes than it was with 8 tracks. What else you got?
Ralph, I would think that your lowest point would be when you were attacked by a man with a ball-peen hammer. I cannot look at one without laughing still.
Yeah, that was one of the low points because that's about as mad as my mother's ever been. And for those who've never heard this story, just because I'm sick and don't really want to talk about current events, we were living in Cerritos at the time. And we lived in a 2-story track home that was exactly like the Sewsbury's house, which I always asked about. My mother said, "We live in track homes, Ralph." And I had no, oh, okay, we live in track homes. I don't know what the hell that means. And it had a banister. And the stairs went up and then right. And they went to my parents' bedroom and the guest bedroom, which would eventually become my late sister's baby room. But my room was on the left. So we have to come out and go around and come down the hall and go back. So instead, what I would do is I would climb the banister and just jump over the banister and go to my room. Did that very casually. And my mother saw me do that a couple of times and said, "If you ever do that again, I will knock your head off." Well, one day they were gone and I did it and I fell and scratched my head. And so I went to school the next day. And Miss Thompson, my favorite English teacher at Joe A. Gonzalez Elementary in Cerritos, asked me how I got that scratch on my head. And I don't know why I just didn't say I fell on my banister, but there was some paranoia, I guess, that she was going to tell my mother. I don't know. So I made up this ridiculous lie that I was jumped at the bus stop with a man with a ball-peen hammer, not knowing that there's no edge on a ball-peen hammer. I just heard the phrase and repeated it. So Miss Thompson said, well, Ralph, we have to report this. Come on, come with me. I was like, no. And she grabbed me by the hand and dragged me to the principal's office. The principal called my mother. My mother came in there like a bat out of hell. Other than the situation with Dr. Tsoulis, parent of a girl I was dating who came to my house and told my mother to stop having me date her. I'd never seen her go off like she did with these teachers, other than cursing out Dr. Tsoulis. Because she came in there and was just like, "Are you people stupid? You believe this boy? And by the way, go get in the car. He got hit in the head with a ball peen. Have you people?" And just went off on these people. Just absolutely went off on these people. And then got in the car and, well, you can figure out what happened after that. It was one of the classic ass whoopings of my young life. And so that was kind of funny. And you see how often I tell these stories that even the listeners have them down by memory. One more, and let's get our guest in here.
Chase has so many fraud issues. You should not have that many problems. Maybe they fix it quickly, but those problems shouldn't happen to begin with.
Yeah, but it's partly my just stupidity. I mean, I'm on the phone with this guy for an hour and a half. I should have known that. Shouldn't have taken any long. And when he kept saying like I said, there were 3 accounts that were fraudulent. And what was amazing is that they were able to send me text messages of the fraudulent accounts or the fraudulent attempts. So it's as if they placed fraudulent attempts on my account to get my attention and then came up with this idiotic way for me to get the money back. And how I hit send money 3 different times, basically emptying out my own account, I just can't grasp. I don't understand how I could possibly be that stupid. But they had me. By that point, my trust was, my guard was down. It seemed incredibly legitimate. And I guess I'm walking home tonight. It's crazy. It's crazy. Meantime, we head into the 5 o'clock hour, shifting gears. We're going to talk about a program that we talked quite a bit about. Again, like I said, we've had the chancellor on, Dr. Stephen Bloomberg. We had the president on, Dr. Stacy Fluger, to talk about this. And we're going to talk about it with Dr. Cesar Jimenez. And we're off to Atlanta to talk to Professor Veronica Millay. She's a professor with the Morehouse School of Medicine. They've got a program that are teamed up with Bakersfield College to try to bring more physicians to this community. We'll do that next. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Come on in. Dr. Jimenez.
This is AM 1180
Incredible. All this.
This
we
is
get hooked
96.1
up.
FM.
Yeah, have a seat.
Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall.
I'll be right back.
In Washington.
I gave you.
The Trump administration has hit Iran with a new round of sanctions. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The newly imposed sanctions are aimed at people and companies accused of enabling Iran's ballistic missile program, drone production, and illicit oil sales. They come as the Trump administration presses Iran to make a deal ahead of nuclear talks scheduled for Thursday in Geneva, and as the U.S. builds up its largest military presence in the region in decades. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Former U.S. Treasury Secretary Larry Summers will resign from teaching at Harvard University amid a campus review of his ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Summers, who had been on leave since November, and whose name appeared hundreds of times in newly released Epstein files, will leave at the end of the school year. He will remain on leave until then. Summers served as a Treasury Secretary under former President Bill Clinton and then led Harvard as president for 5 years, starting in 2001. Lisa Dwyer.
Winter's not going away just yet, according to meteorologists. National Weather Service forecaster Bob Oravec says there'll be temperature swings ahead of a new cold front.
Going forward into the weekend, and just looking at some of the high temperature forecasts for Saturday, 46 in New York City, Sunday 40. So it does afford a few days of melting. But then as we get into early next week, Monday and Tuesday, look like temperatures are again back towards freezing.
New York City spread huge amounts of salt and hired emergency shovelers. Advocates say many sidewalks are impassable for people with disabilities. On Wall Street, the Dow by 307 points, the S&P advanced 56. More at Town Hall.
Hey, Scott here. I want to personally invite you to join me, along with my friend Mike Gallagher, for a powerful week on the Gulf of America cruise, November 14th through November 21st, 2026. That's this year. We'll cruise through crystal blue waters, visit incredible ports like Half Moon Cay and Cozumel, and enjoy the first-class hospitality of a luxury cruise ship. All week long, you'll have time with us. You'll do meet and greets, photo opportunities, Q&A sessions, and the chance to hear behind-the-scenes stories that you can't or won't hear on the air. You'll also be immersed in inspiring keynote speeches and in-depth sessions as we enjoy real connection designed to strengthen your resolve as we mark the 250th anniversary of our great nation. Don't miss this. Sign up today. Look forward to cruising the Caribbean with like-minded people who care deeply about our country. Reserve your cabin today. Text CRUISE to 94878, 94878, or visit scottjenningsshow.com and click the cruise banner to sign up today.
She's the permanent president now?
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Delilah's Law and the Bakersfield Girl Who Inspired It. I'm Chris Davis.
So I'll have you.
It's not a
explain
law
it,
yet,
and
but
we'll
at
go to
last
Dr.
night's State of the
Millay.
Union speech, President Trump spoke directly to the Bakersfield girl left
You know, I went to
handicapped after a wreck with a semi-truck in 2024, calling her
Didn't
an
finish.
inspiration
Didn't
before
come
calling
close.
on
That's why I
Congress
moved
to
up
pass
here
the
and
law.
finished
Marcus and
trying to
Delilah
finish Cal
Coleman of
State.
Bakersfield were invited by the
And,
president
but yeah,
as he
my dad
pushed
was
the
a graduate of
legislation that would
Morehouse,
make it illegal
but
for a
that was
person
in the
here
60s,
illegally
so
to get a
the
commercial
medical
driver's
school wasn't built
license.
until like
It was after
90s,
public comment that the
even
Kern
after I
County
was
Board of Supervisors decided not to move forward yet with the ordinance
from
that would
Los
make it illegal to feed animals without a license on any county
Yeah.
property. That proposed ordinance would provide for a fine for feeding or baiting coyotes,
Yeah,
deer,
really?
squirrel, feral cats, foxes, raccoons, skunks, or beavers. A committee may be formed to look into it further before
That's my
bringing it up
favorite-
again.
Often on the show,
Some of the school
that's
bus
my-
drivers,
Redondo,
mechanics, and other
Hermosa.
classified
My
employees who
parents
work for
lived in Palos
Bakersfield
Verdes for
City
a little
Schools
bit.
are ticked
The
off at the
whole
school board
rolling
and
hills,
didn't
that
mind making
whole
themselves
South Bay
heard
from-
about it Tuesday
from like
at
El
the
Segundo
Bakersfield
all
City
the
School
way
District
to
Board of
the-
Education
to
meeting.
freaking
That's because they
Rolling
got a
Hill
raise of
TV,
1%,
you know,
whereas the
Rancho
school board
TV.
members got a more
That's
than
my favorite part of
$2,000 raise
Absolutely
for
favorite
attending
part.
meetings,
Hermosa,
which they
Redondo.
voted
Ever
on
been to
themselves in
Tony's Fish
January.
Market?
The board may have
On
a
the
chance
pier?
to offer more money
Dude,
by
that is the
negotiation
best
in
fish
March.
in
Meanwhile, the board
Los
passed a
Angeles.
resolution Tuesday
It's
honoring
in- no,
Irma
it's in
Carson, the
Redondo
city's
Beach.
first black
It's on the
female
pier,
police
Redondo
officer
Beach.
who served on the
There's an
school
El
board
Cerritos
and the
right
city
across from
council.
it.
Carson
And then
served on
there's
the school
it's
board for
called Tony's
15
Fish
years,
Market.
but was
And
also
then
the
bar
executive
is called
director for
Crow's
the
Nest.
Ebony
It's got a
Counseling
spiral
Center, which looked into
staircase,
substance
and it's
abuse,
out the
teen
pier. If
pregnancy
you get
prevention, and
seated
AIDS
deep into the
education.
restaurant,
I'm
you're
Chris
literally
Davis in the
ocean.
KERN newsroom with news
see
every half hour and
seals
when it
during the
breaks on
day
FM
and golf, and it's
96.1
crazy.
and AM
It's the
1180
best food, the best
KERN.
fish place in
What do you think this is the army where you shoot 'em a mile away? You gotta get up close like this.
I did an
Beat
insert.
your hands all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey
I think
Show
they're still
on
in,
News
one
Talk
of the
96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Yeah.
Make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 25th day of February. We still got lots to do. Our Black History Month moment will fall at 5:30. We'll focus on Dr. Cornel West, professor, author, philanthropist, activist, and overall good egg. I'll give you the life and times of Cornel West. I think he's written one of the most important books on race. It's entitled Race Matters, and it just talks about different cultures and why race does matter. And I know you all criticize me for talking too much about race, but I think it does matter. Cultures matter. We all have different life experiences based on our culture and how we were raised. And it's a brilliant book. We'll talk about that. And I've got some other audio we're going to play before we get out of here as well. But in the meantime, we've talked about this subject quite a bit. We had the Chancellor, Dr. Stephen Bloomberg, on to talk about it. We had the President, Dr. Stacy Pfluger, on, because I think this is an incredible program that connects Bakersfield College and the Kern Community College District with the Morehouse School of Medicine. And it's essentially, putting it simply, but I'm going to have Dr. Jimenez explain it further, basically trying to train physicians in Atlanta and then bring them to Bakersfield and then basically try to get them to stay here in Kern County. And on the phone, via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network, live from Atlanta, we've got Dr. Veronica Millay. Dr. Millay, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Thank you for
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Dr. Millay is the CAO of the More in Common Alliance. Do I have that right?
Yes.
And also
it's mallet, like the croquet hammer.
okay. Mallet, I'm sorry. And professor at the Morehouse School of Medicine, and live in studio with me is Dr. Cesar Jimenez. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Jimenez, and just try to explain to the folks exactly what this program is all about and what it's intended to do.
Well, first, Mr. Bailey, thank you for having me here. It's awesome. It's a really good opportunity for us to market the CAST program, which is the Kern AUCC Healthcare Scholars Program. And so, like you said, there's a significant shortage of physicians in the county of Kern. So we recognize there's a problem and we're trying to address that problem actively. And so students are going to be able to come to Bakersfield College, then after that, get an associate's degree, go to either Morehouse College, Spelman College, or Clark Atlanta University, which is one of the AUCCs, get their baccalaureate degree, and then go to the Morehouse School of Medicine with the idea of exactly, again, what you said, return to Kern. So the goal is for them to go through, Bakersfield College, one of the AUCCs, go to Morehouse School of Medicine, come back, and be a physician in the county of Kern. We've already launched the application. We have a high number of applicants, and it's a really good opportunity to have them come to Bakersfield College. We've done good planning as it relates to making sure that we support our students while they're here at Bakersfield College and when they transfer over to one of the AUCCs. We had a really amazing summit that just took place this year or last year in Atlanta. So it was a good amount of us from Kern Community College District, Bakersfield College, and we went out to Atlanta. We met with our counterparts at one of those three AUCCs in Morehouse School of Medicine, and we were there just sitting, planning, brainstorming of what this program is going to look like for our students. And it was an amazing event. I mean, being at the campuses, being at the HBCUs is significant. And so to be able to expose our students to colleges outside of the state of California, in particular HBCUs, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And as most of my listeners know, I attended Morehouse College. My parents would tell you I attended Spelman College, so I didn't get my degree from Morehouse College. But what you have to understand when he's talking about the AUC, it's the Atlanta University Center. And if Atlanta wasn't known for hip hop now and other things, it would probably be known as a collegiate community. It really is. I mean, outside, it's the Atlanta University Center. And within about a 3-mile radius, you have Morehouse College, which is literally right across the street from Spelman College, which is literally right across the street from Atlanta Clark, which used to be two separate universities. It used to be Atlanta University and Clark College. They've now combined as one college. And then you have Morris Brown, which is just a mile away. It's just a beautiful community college. And then throughout the city of Atlanta, you've got Georgia Tech, you've got Georgia State, you've got Emory University. I mean, it is a true college community. And about 45 minutes away in Athens, you've got the University of Georgia. And the med school was just, I wouldn't say recently, but certainly within the last, I think, 20, 25 years, Dr. Millay, that the med school has been up and running. And
50 years. We celebrated 50 years.
50 years.
In April.
Wow. I would have never guessed that. Time has slipped by in my mind. How did you all get connected with BC? How did this get on your radar and theirs?
Well, in 2021, 2022, Morehouse School of Medicine and Common Spirit entered into agreement for Common Spirit Health, which you would know on the West Coast is Dignity Health, invested $115 million to double the class size in the School of Medicine and to create graduate medical education or residency training programs throughout the Common Spirit system, with the goal of creating a workforce that mirrors the community served by Common Spirit or Dignity Health. And so that led me to this role as Chief Administrative Officer, and I am in charge of executing on that big vision. Well, if we're going to double the class size in the School of Medicine, we need to expand the pool of competitive applicants to become matriculants. And the idea was to create that opportunity for those students in Kern that may not have had an opportunity to go to medical school or to even think of a health career as a possibility. And the first time I visited back in 2022, I met the then interim chancellor, Dr. Christian. I think that was her last name. And
Sonia Christian, yes.
Christian, yes. And I was just so impressed with the campus, and I met students from the Emoja program that Dr. Paula Parks runs, which is designed to create a sense of community for Black students going to Bakersfield College. And I really just was impressed with the new science building there on the campus and their dedication and their very high graduation rate. from Bakersfield College. And what was shared with me was that there needs to be an interface between that community college and associate's degree to the baccalaureate degree, and from that baccalaureate degree to the School of Medicine. And so we just began to ideate about, what is possible? What could we do? And I really have to credit the Kern County Community College District and Bakersfield College with their willingness to discuss with their counterparts, as Dr. Jimenez shared, down to the details of mapping the curriculum and how many credits would transfer from Bakersfield College to the AU center schools, and making sure that the students from Kern would come to Atlanta as juniors. And so they wouldn't be demoralized or feel like they wasted their time because their credits didn't transfer for classes that they'd already taken.
Right.
And it's been a very thoughtful approach involving a number of people in Bakersfield College, including the deans of the science programs and the professors, to make sure that these students are prepared to, enjoy success on the road to an MD degree.
Yes. And we should also note, because we had the chancellor in here recently, we were talking about the fact that there are 116 junior colleges in the state of California, and BC, Bakersfield College, just joined about a dozen or so that were designated as Black serving institutes. That's a huge improvement as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Mr. Bailey, that's huge. We are a Black serving institution. We're one of 30 schools in the state of California that became a BSI.
Is it 30?
To Dr. Mallett's point, we have done really good work, for example, through Umoja, also AMEN, which is the African American Male Education Network Development Program. We have the African American Initiative Program at the college with different stakeholders. And so these are just some examples of contributions to be able to celebrate Black excellence at Bakersfield College. So when we got that designation, it was a reaffirmation of our efforts, and it's not something that's going to sit on the shelf. It's also a note for us that there's more work to do.
Yeah.
And to Dr. Mallett's point, I mean, there's a lot of back end work that we did with our faculty, our managers, such as the deans, our vice president of instruction, our president, Dr. Pfluger, that when we went to that summit in Atlanta, we also participated in the white coat ceremony. So we got to see that from Morehouse School of Medicine, where they get, their white coats. It's a huge ceremony, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so all of us from Bakersfield College, Kern Community College District, MSM, Morehouse School of Medicine, the other two AUCCs, Clark Atlanta, Spelman, Morehouse, we're there, right? And walking across the stage is a student from Bakersfield College who got accepted into the Morehouse School of Medicine, who's a student from Delano, and the faculty who was there, that was one of his students.
That's incredible.
So, right, you know what I'm saying? Like that was like a bittersweet moment. And so Professor Joe Saliwat, who was there, and he saw her walk across the stage. That's just one example of how meaningful and impactful this relationship is going to be.
Yeah.
That we're going to be able to expose students to this opportunity where they can go there. Starting this summer, we're going to have a summer enhancement program that we're going to help our students as they're actually taking classes at Bakersfield College. We're going to have programming that's going to be available to them. And next summer, we're taking those students who are admitted into the program to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So
when does the program start?
This summer.
This summer?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And how many students are we looking at, and who are these students? Where did we get these students?
So these students, so right now we're taking up to 15 students right now. And I don't want to say we're taking up to just 15 students. We'll review the application. We have an application committee with the different counterparts. Mr. Bailey, these students are some very competitive students. I mean, these students have like a 4.0, 3.6. And for some, also, these are students who never thought about being a physician, who maybe never were exposed to the idea of being in medicine. And so, again, that's also the key, that we're helping those who want to pursue this career, but then also those students who may not have been interested.
Yeah.
And now we're sharing this pipeline where we can help them bridge that gap, get the degree, and come back.
And unbelievable. Talking with Dr. Cesar Jimenez from Bakersfield College and Dr. Veronica Millette, who's a professor at the Morehouse School of Medicine. My father graduated from Meharry. I just issues with the math. You said that the med school was created 50 years ago?
That's right, on the campus of Morehouse College.
But I matriculated there from 80 to 84, and the med school was not up on its feet in 84.
It was in a trailer.
Oh, it was in a trailer, and then it became official. It became brick and mortar in the 90s, correct?
It
Or late 80s?
Independent of Morehouse College earlier than that. I can't tell you the exact date, but
yeah, because I was going to say, I know I was oblivious.
Before 1990. So the school, what used to happen is the first 2 years were on the campus of Morehouse College, and the third and fourth year, the students transferred to other medical schools. But it became an independent of Morehouse College, and with its own board of trustees and own funding sources. And it's been an incredible journey. And so you might ask, why would Common Spirit Dignity Health invest in a school in Georgia? But Morehouse School of Medicine was formed to address the really vast shortage of Black doctors for Georgia. And so when the Mercer Medical School was created, Hugh Gloucester, president of Morehouse College, went to the legislature and said, look, our doctors are serving so large of the communities that the patients are having to wait and not getting good care. And they convinced the legislature to allow them to start the School of Medicine. And through strategic recruiting, they have been able to change communities that had a medically underserved designation to having more than one physician there. They went by zip code, and any student who applied to medical school, whether they were accepted or not, got outreach from the School of Medicine. And if they weren't accepted, they received counseling, and they were allowed to go to a post-baccalaureate program, which is called the Masters of Science in Medical Sciences. And with that master's degree, over 87% of those students who might not have ever been accepted to medical school were then accepted to either Morehouse School of Medicine or one of the nation's medical schools.
Yes.
So,
do you have programs like this with other junior colleges?
We do not. This is our pioneering partnership.
That's outstanding.
We would like to, do a rinse and repeat. And so I don't know if in your listening audiences there are other community colleges outside of Kern that are interested in this pathway, but we are engaged in launching this summer, as Dr. Jimenez said, and I think we're still accepting applications, and we want to make sure that it's representative of the community of Bakersfield.
That's
the whole idea is to have somebody be cared for by a physician who really understands their lived experience.
Yeah, and it helps us with the number of physicians here locally as well, Dr. Menace.
Yes, and to your point about being the first of its program, I will make a selfish plug and to our audience who's listening and anyone out there, anyone who has deep pockets and wants to contribute, we are looking for funders as well, Mr. Bailey.
Absolutely.
This is meaningful work where we are helping our community, our county. We're helping address workforce development by helping our community become physicians, be able to obtain, family livable wages. And so this pipeline, I want to say, is like no other. And so also make that plug of we're also looking for funders to help us make this work and help our students. Help us help our students.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's a phenomenal program, and we're going to touch upon this as it goes, try to keep our community abreast of how this thing is going. So I'm sure we'll talk to you again, and I hope to talk to you again, Dr. Millett. Thank you so much for taking the time and being with us, and good luck with this program. I think this is going to be incredibly successful and really changing our community and hopefully the Morehouse School of Medicine as well.
Indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Turn the curve.
All right, very good. Thank you, Dr. Millett. Take care.
Thank you.
And Dr. Jimenez, again, thank you. And just off the record, thank you. And you know what I'm talking about.
I'm here for you. And I get to take these. These are my Mr. Bailey radio show headphones that I get to keep, right?
No, those are the Rogers Brandon headphones, my boss. So you got to leave them here. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll give you a pen. How's that?
I'll take it.
Dr. Cesar Jimenez. And again, we'll be talking about this as we have for about the last year or so. It is just a phenomenal program. I know Michael Bowers is involved with this as well, the folks at Centric Health. And it could be an absolute game changer for our community. And not only that, for the Morehouse School of Medicine. She scared me when she said that the Morehouse Medicine School was up 50 years ago. I was like, I was a baby. And I was there for 4 years, and I didn't see any med school, but it was in a trailer. So I guess I'm not as oblivious as I thought. We'll take a quick time out. We'll come back, wrap up this half hour, get in the final half hour. Again, our Black History Month moment focuses on professor and activist, television pundit, and author, Dr. Cornel West. That's coming up on The Ralph Bailey Show, right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Sweet. That was great.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Networks business owners. How many times have you called your IT company and felt like just another ticket number? Well, at Adaptive Networks, exceptional customer service isn't just the promise, it's how they do business every single day. And nobody knows that better than the folks here at American General Media because they are a client of ours and we are a client of theirs. IT is incredibly important for a radio station. We can't depend on somebody saying, well, we'll be out there tomorrow because all you hear is nothing. So it's do or die for us. That's why we depend on Adaptive Networks. And when you call, you'll actually talk to a real person who knows your name, understands your business, and genuinely cares about solving your problems. No phone trees, no run around, no attitude. That's what Adaptive Networks are all about. Call today at 661-241-0638. That's 241-0638. Join the IT network that American General Media uses every day.
Progressive knows life takes you in many directions.
Bear right at exit 32. Then begin to wonder why you never bought a fish tank. In 1.3 miles, you'll realize you've been mispronouncing epitome your whole life. At the roundabout, you will remember you said something at dinner you wish you hadn't, and will think about it for decades. You have arrived at your destination, but it turns out there really is no destination, and life just keeps going.
Wherever life takes you, protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for
All my
details.
buddies
Look
were
up in the
bio
sky.
Yeah, that's
Two
what
of my
they
roommates
cried.
were bio
It's a
majors.
bird.
They are,
It's a
and,
plane.
and
No,
Phil.
it's them.
Now,
It's
Phil's
Paul
a,
Sheldon's team, that well-oiled
Phil's a
machine
dentist up in Oakland.
of Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Okay, not superpowers, but still thousands of hours deciphering Medicare's whims, fighting the good fight,
dude, I'm so
learning what
nauseous.
works right. Christine, Kelly,
Not
and Lynn.
nauseous, like I'm gonna
So
throw
it
up.
might seem
Feel like
old-fashioned,
nauseous before I
but
sit
hard
down.
work with passion
Feel
most
that
often
nervous,
gives you the win.
horrible feeling.
And the trio that knows are those Medicare pros, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. You know, actually to many, they are superheroes. Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
Yeah,
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERF.
I'm going to have to get on the phone, talk to Dr. Phil Sadler, my sophomore roommate who's a biology major, because I don't remember any trailer being on the campus. I mean, not that I was a med student or a bio student. I was in the communications department and was taking most of my classes at Clark University. It's now Atlanta Clark, like I said when we were talking with Dr. Jimenez. When I was there from 80 to 84, Atlanta University was a graduate school. Clark University was just another HBCU. They came together, they got rid of the graduate program, and now it's one large college, Atlanta Clark College. But I gotta call Phil, my dentist in Oakland, my roommate, because as I remember, it was one of our presidents was the Surgeon General under George Bush, and he used his federal connections to get the med school up on its feet. That wasn't until the 90s. She said 50 years. I was a child. Quick time out, last half hour of the broadcast. Black History Month moment focuses on Dr. Cornel West.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Cuba says its soldiers have killed 4 people on a Florida-registered speedboat after the boat entered Cuban waters and opened fire first. On Wednesday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is gathering its own information. He says officials are trying to learn if the victims are American citizens or permanent residents. Vice President J.D. Vance has announced that the Trump administration will temporarily halt some Medicaid funding to the state of Minnesota over fraud concerns as part of what he described as an aggressive crackdown on misuse of public funds. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 307 points, the NASDAQ rose 288, the S&P 500 advanced by 56 points. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Classified employees who are not teachers or administrators, but include bus drivers, mechanics, and other such employees, came to the Bakersfield City School Board meeting Tuesday, some angry about getting only a 1% raise this year, while school board members voted to give themselves a more than $2,000 raise for attending meetings in January. Negotiations may yield a higher raise in March. Bakersfield College history professor Damon Johnson can't be fired for not taking DEI training, says a ruling by a federal judge. But the school can make him take that training if he wants to be part of a faculty screening committee, said the judge in a second part to that ruling. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Coming up on the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, a deep dive into MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, with Dr. Marty Makary, who is the Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. Some big things to talk about with him that will affect the health of America. And yes, you and your family will discuss that, plus looking at the economy, the border, the other big issues of the day on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show,
Play
The
regular
JR
music
Show,
coming in.
weekdays at 2
Play
p.m.
Play regular
Now,
music
back
coming
to the
in.
Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk.
Anything?
It's actually already clear.
Okay, cool. Then let us begin with, as we wind down Black History Month moment. In fact, Friday will be our last. The month ends on Sunday, only 28 days in the month of February, and we focus on Cornel Ronald West. Dr. West was born June 2nd, 1953. He's an American philosopher, theologian, political activist, politician, social critic, and public intellectual. West was an independent candidate in the 2024 United States presidential election and is an outspoken voice in left-wing politics in the United States. He's the grandson of a Baptist minister. West's primary philosophy focuses on the roles of race, gender, and class struggle in American society. A socialist, West draws intellectual contributions from multiple traditions, including Christianity, the Black Church, democratic socialism, left-wing populism, neo-pragmatism, and transcendentalism. During his career, he has held professorships and fellowships at Harvard University, Yale University, Union Theological Seminary, Princeton University, Dartmouth College, Pepperdine University, and the University of Paris in Saint Denis. Among the most influential books are Race Matters. This is a wonderful read that I have literally read 3 times. It's published in 1993, and another work, Democracy Matters, that he wrote in 2004. He has been featured in several documentaries and made appearances in Hollywood films such as The Matrix Reloaded, The Matrix Revolution, as well as providing commentary for both films. West has also made several spoken word and hip-hop albums. In his late 20s, he returned to Harvard as a W.E.B. Du Bois Fellow before becoming an assistant professor at Union Theological Seminary in the city of New York. Then later in his career, in 2000, economist and former U.S. Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers became president of Harvard, and he's been in the news of late because of his connections to the Epstein files and has been forced to move away from Harvard. I'm talking about Lawrence Summers, not Dr. West. Other highlights of this gentleman's career. As I mentioned, he appears as Counselor West in The Matrix Reloaded, The Matrix Revolutions of 2003, and also provides the voice for this character in the video game Enter the Matrix. In addition, West provides philosophical commentary on all 3 Matrix films in the Ultimate Matrix collection, along with the integral theorist Ken Wilber.
That's an interesting one.
I'm trying to get to the end of his, he was called, I can't find it. But that is the life and times of Cornel West, a fascinating man. And if there's anything that you came away from that, because that was poorly done, I threw that together at the last minute. I apologize. This has been kind of a tough day for me, and the show's been awful because of me, and I apologize. But I strongly suggest you read the book Race Matters. And I think it will give you a better perspective on why I see much of life through race lenses. I truly do. And one of the things I was trying to formulate how to discuss this is that everything that is racist doesn't necessarily make the person themselves racist. And this is why I was fearful of going in this, because that makes absolutely no sense. But I think we all have a bias culturally, whether we're willing to admit that. And I think there are people that have good hearts that don't hate Black people. See, that's the thing that you have to understand about racism and what exactly it means. Racism means that you hate these Black people. Now, this is the question that I have struggled with my whole life. Are you a racist if you buy into certain stereotypes of different cultures? Does that make you a racist? And I think that's the issue. I think people, elitists like Gavin Newsom, have an image of Black people. Does that make them a racist? I'm not sure. Because, again, and I'm just vomiting here, the one thing that I have noticed in terms of race relations, and maybe you can answer this, Chris, just to make my point, who do you think are the people, based on their jobs, that are most open to race relations?
Most open?
You should, as a sport, yes, you should get this.
Athletes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Why is that? Why are athletes more open? Why did Mike Arier welcome me into his home to live with him for 2 years when many of his closest friends were like, I like Ralph. Ralph's a good dude. But dude, it's one thing to be living with a brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he got 3 or 4 of his good friends that I all know that came to him that Mike later told me about. They were like, dude, this is one thing to be friends with him, but it's another thing to live with him, have him eating off your plates. And these are guys that I know that I'm still friends with. And the reason I think that athletes are more open-minded about that is because they are put into a situation where they have to deal with African Americans or Latinos or Samoans or Asians. And you live with these people, you travel with these people, you shower with these people. And all of a sudden it dawns on you when you hear the guy in your locker room talking about what problems he's having with his baby. And you're like, damn, I'm having the same problem with mine. And you form and you find out the old phrase, which is true, we all have more in common than we do differences. Everybody has differences. We're all raised differently. We're raised differently culturally. We're raised differently because of our parents and what they went through, et cetera, et cetera. But I have found that athletes are much more open-minded. You know, I adore Chris Zucchini. And one of the reasons is he is open-minded. And one of the reasons that he is open-minded is he was raised open-minded. Let me explain. His late father, Leroy, was a basketball coach. And Chris tells me stories of how his father would have African-American athletes at their home, spending the night, eating dinner at their table. Chris grew up with African-Americans in their homes. And I'm not trying to put you on your heels, but you sometimes have to ask yourself, how many Black people have been at your dinner table? How many Black people have been in your home? You know, because I constantly get, well, I've got Black friends. And I'm like, well, who are they? Well, it's this girl, Cindy, that I work with. Well, that's not a friend of yours. That's a colleague. Has she sat at your dinner table? Yeah, you may have gone out and had drinks with her. You may have gone someplace and met her, but has she been in your home? Has she held your children? And that's what kind of separates what is, oh, I have friends that are Black, between really having friends that are Black. Like I said, those gentlemen that criticized Mike for letting me move in with him are still my friends. Are they racist? I don't think so, but they have a perception of Black people that is inaccurate, is all I'm saying. And that's why I struggle with Donald Trump, because you could examine several issues that would make him a racist. Placing Obama's head on an ape, destroying a slavery display in Philadelphia, and then the courts making him put it back, wanting to change things at the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., saying that they play up slavery too much. And yet then you see him do things like in his first term where he supported HBCUs, where he is the only president to release Black prisoners who didn't deserve. Remember the famous case that involved Kim Kardashian and a woman who was selling a low amount of drugs and got a sentence for like a huge cartel distributor. And Kim Kardashian somehow got involved with the case with Donald Trump and they got her out of jail. A racist does not do that. And that's why I've come to the conclusion that for Trump, it's not a matter of being a racist. It's a matter of sometimes pandering to his base or part of his base that are white supremacists. Not all white supremacists, not all white people are white supremacists. But I think it's safe to say, and maybe you'll disagree with me, that all white supremacists are part of MAGA. They're certainly not part of the Democratic Party. They're certainly not independents. Where else do they go? And I think Trump is aware of that. And I think he plays into that sometimes. Because if you look at his life throughout the late 20th century and the early part of the 21st century, he was friends with Whoopi Goldberg. He was friends with Mike Tyson. He was friends with a lot of African Americans. And I pointed out when we talked about Jesse Jackson, and this is critical, because it's one thing to pal around with Black people, but it's another thing to get involved in an economic venture that helps with diversity. And Jesse Jackson, I believe it was in the early 90s, right after his 84 and 88 run for president, when he had some juice, wanted to create a diversity program for Wall Street. Do you know who the largest supporter of that was? Donald J. Trump. Quite simply, that's not the actions of a racist. If he was a politician, I would say he was pandering, trying to win the Black vote. But this was in the 20th century, when running for president was nowhere in the head of Donald Trump. And yet he went out of his way to help Jesse Jackson create this diversity program on Wall Street. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just rambling. And again, I apologize. My head is spinning today. It's just been a bad day. And normally I'm able to, separate my personal life and whatever's going on with this. But this has just been a weird day. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the night. We'll come back. Tomorrow's a Thursday. Mike Turnipseed will be here from the Kern Tax Association. He has a golf tournament that they're returning to coming up in a couple of months at Stockdale Country Club. We'll find out if he's going to give us a free foursome. And, of course, our money man, Daniel Petrie, who I've already been on the phone with, obviously, based on what has occurred today. And let me again remind you that the Honor Flight Open is less than a month away, March 23rd. It's a Monday at Bakersfield Country Club. Go to honorflightopen.com. And as I mentioned, Mr. Flores and I are going to play in a foursome, and we're going to figure out a manner in which one of you or both of you, maybe you've got a partner or maybe it'll just be two individuals, we'll get to see just how bad a golfer I am and play 4 hours with us out of BCC. And then we'll come in to the 19th hole, give away the winners and the awards and our auction as well. It's just a great afternoon in the Northeast. I hope you'll come out, help support our veterans. This is all about Honor Flight. And again, as George Culver displayed, you don't have to play. George just contacted me and said, I can't play this year, but I'd love to make a contribution. You can certainly do that. Again, go to honorflightopen.com. It's Monday, March the 23rd at the beautiful Bakersfield Country Club, the recent host to the Bakersfield Open, where $30,000 was rewarded to the two-time now and defending champion, Patrick Flavin. Final break of the night. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Thursday's Armstrong and Getty Show. Did Gavin Newsom just sit in front of a black audience and say, "I'm stupid just like you are"? We'll let you decide.
And if China were to take Taiwan, what would that do to our economy?
Whenever you're ready.
You ready? 3, 2. I thought it was a brilliant speech. I truly did. I mean, obviously, it was incredibly too long, but highlighting the hockey team, the 2 members of the military that received the honors. What did they receive? 3, 2. I thought it was a brilliant speech. I really did. I thought bringing in the hockey team, providing the Medal of Honor for 2 veterans from the Korea War and from the recent abduction of Maduro in Venezuela. And I thought that he provided an absolute political advertisement for everyone running for Congress or Senate when he asked, what is the priority, American citizens or illegal aliens? And stand up to show your support for American citizens. And the Democrats did not stand up. That's got to be a banging ad all the way through the primaries and all the way to the midterm elections. That was horrible. 3, 2. It's that man. Again, look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. It's a Thursday, so Mike Turnipseed, Executive Director, Current Tax, will be with us, along with our money man, Daniel Petrie from S-Maker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. All that plus me at 3. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3.
It's 99 on Rosedale Highway.
How much time I got?
Every day is sale day. Hey folks, Jeff Salters here, noted barbecue guy. That's right, Bakersfield's best barbecue. And I'm here with my good friend, Michael Benz. You know him as, hey folks,
hey, you
want to
go to Casey's
noted
Steakhouse?
Barbecue connoisseur. So I'm going to do a little on-the-spot interview here. Michael Benz, you come here once, twice a year now. You get to come hang out. Your family's here. And every time you come, I know you always get you just a grip of barbecue. So Michael Benz, what's your favorite Salty's barbecue item?
Well, you know, bud, I have to get a bunch of food because I got a big family out here. So we always load up on family packs. Could be 2, could be 3, but then we have to get extra bread and extra sides and spicy mac and cheese and the green beans. They absolutely love that stuff. So you know what I'll be doing? I'll be doing that tomorrow night.
You can find us at 9425 Rosedale Highway or 6801 White Lane. Or if you want, you can go to saltysbbq.com and order online.
Salty's Barbecue and Catering.
California Grill,
Texas approved.
Oh, it's good.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
So one of the surprises from last night's speeches, there was not the bombshell Iranian statement that I expected from the president. They are going to Geneva, Switzerland, where I've been. I've actually been to Geneva, 17 years old. That's where we were based on the one European trip that I've ever been on. It was a school trip for about 15 of us. It was about 11 students and 4 of our administrators. And we were based in Geneva. We were at a all-girls college. It was during the summer, obviously. And it was just one of those spectacular cities I'd ever seen. I'd never seen a cleaner city. I'd never been on a campus of a cleaner college. It was just amazing. It was just a beautiful, beautiful city. And then we traveled via train throughout Switzerland, and we were in the capital of Bern. That's the only reason I know that it's the capital. A lot of people think it's Geneva or Zurich. No, it's Bern. It's a tiny little community. And I'm telling you, traveling on this train throughout Switzerland it was as if there were posters of postcards lining up against the wall and you were looking at them. I mean, these homes that are embedded into the side of the mountains and literally like they see what you would see in a painting or in a postcard. It was just like surreal. And then we got to Zermatt, the Matterhorn, and I got turned on for the first time at 17 years old to fondue, which I thought was the most unbelievable thing I'd ever had in my life, because we both had the cheese fondue and then we had the chocolate fondue, and it was Swiss chocolate. And there is nothing, obviously nothing in the world, literally, like Swiss chocolate. And it was just one of the greatest trips of my life. I've told you about it. After we left Switzerland, we got into France, and we began with a 3-day river trip down the Ardèche River. And some of us were in kayaks, some of us were in canoes, and you switched off. And it was about a 3-day sojourn down the Ardèche River as we ended up in Lyon, France. And we would, kayak and swim during the day. We'd stop and swim and screw around and have lunch. And then we'd kayak some more. And we had seasoned vets who would go ahead of us during the rapids, because there were rapids throughout this river, quite obviously. And they would kind of, show us the route, and you would have to mirror their route. And if you didn't, as some didn't, because not everybody was as adept at a canoe as I was, or John Tempro, my best friend, went with us, and some other folks. But some of the girls didn't really know what they were doing, and it got pretty ugly. One girl, in fact, destroyed her canoe and damn near broke her leg. And then we toured France, went to the Eiffel Tower. The only regret I had is we were 17. So we were so thrilled to see McDonald's in Paris. That's where we ate. While the more sophisticated, that's where Tempero and I ate. While the more sophisticated kids went and had French food. And Tempero and I were 17 years old. We're like, French food? Negative. I just want a burger. I haven't had a burger in a month, because we were there for a month. And this was at the end of the trip. And we were like, all I want is a burger. I haven't had a burger in a month. Like idiots, we ended up at McDonald's with the Royale McCheese. And then the highlight of the trip was the end, where we got called into a room by Steve Loy, our assistant principal, who's the head of this group. And he called us all into a room, and he said, I got good news and I have bad news. And we said, we want to hear the bad news. He said, well, the bad news is, based on what you guys want to do, we're probably going to be here another 3 days. And, we're all 17, 18 years old, and we're like, no, we're ready to go home. I never thought I'd miss home or miss America like I did after this month-long trip. And he said, the good news is, if we voluntarily get bumped from this flight, each of us will get $400. They're going to put us up here in London for 2 days, and we'll fly out on Monday morning. And we all kind of looked at each other and like, $400 a piece? $400. And at 17, I'd never seen $400 in one sitting. So we were all like, well, we're taking off on Monday. And we hung out in London for a couple of days. And I got hit on by a gay old man who pretended that he knew my father. And that was a crazy night. And, you've already understood, if you listen to today's show, what an idiot I am. And so I literally went over and talked to this guy, because he told one of our friends that he knew my father. So I went to his table. He was an American citizen. And he started talking. And he wouldn't talk about my dad, because I kept saying, well, how do you know my dad? And he said, well, let's talk about you. And I kept saying, well, but how do you know my parents? And he kept just trying to change the topic. And then he said something about San Diego, living in San Diego. And I said, yeah, I live in San Diego. He said, yes, I knew that. And I said, this is crazy, and got up and ran, because it was slowly coming on to me. I wish I was as smart today as I was when I was 17. But that was weird. I was scared to death. In fact, they were all partying that night. It was only like 8 or 9 o'clock. I'll never forget it. And I went in my room and locked the door and wouldn't come back downstairs. And Tempero was like, oh, come on, dude. So one old man hit on you. So what? Come back downstairs. I was like, no. What did that do to kidnap me, John? Nobody's going to kidnap you, Ralph. The guy tried to hit on you. That's all. And you fell for it for a minute. Probably about 50 years, somebody's going to wipe out your bank account. You're so stupid. So that was a crazy night, but it was a great trip. It really, really was. Let's read 2 text messages, unless the board is clear, because I'm going home and just cry my eyes out and go to bed. I don't know what to freaking do.
Ralph, was there ever a moment in your career live on the air where you thought maybe I might be in trouble for that?
For what?
Maybe something you said?
No, it's not until you get the call from the general manager and they want to see you is when you know you said something that can disrupt them. Just about every time I've said something, like I said something about when I got back from honor flight, I said that I no longer want to go on the trips to Washington, D.C. And that quickly, and it's a whole long story that I can't get into because it's interpersonal stuff, but that quickly got to our owner and management. And apparently that upset everybody. And I wasn't invited to the check presentation. I was kind of booted out of that for reasons I still don't understand, and how that impacted management or how that impacted our radio station, how it impacted honor flight, just that I don't want to go on these flights anymore. I've never understood. But that's one of the issues. And I never saw that coming. No, you never really see it coming. If you say it, you obviously think you're able to say it. But no, I've never really regretted anything I've said. But I've been called into, I've been doing this for, coming up next month, it'll be 13 years here, 9 years at another station. So that's 22 years. And, 50 weeks, 5 days a week, 3 hours a day. Yeah, you're going to step in it quite a bit. But both management teams, both at my old station and this one, have been tolerant of my errors. So you just throw it out there, and it's just like your opinions. You throw it out there, and some are going to love it, some are going to hate it. In the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I'll wrap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Medicaid funding to the state of Minnesota is being temporarily halted over fraud concerns. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Vice President J.D. Vance announced that the federal government would suspend some Medicaid funding to Minnesota as part of what he described as an aggressive crackdown on misuse of public funds. The Trump administration has launched an effort to root out fraud across the country, including in Minneapolis, where there are allegations of fraud involving daycare